Okay, okay, okay.
How we feeling, fam?
What is Gucci, my people? How we living? How we feeling? How's your weekend been? You know, has it been good? Has it been bad? Are you on a Sunday night there? Yeah. So, weekend's coming to an end. What's up, Adam? We see you in the chat. It's good to hang out with you guys today. So today's a little bit different to our normal streams. You know, typically we go live and then we do a bunch of mock drafts together, hang out. Today we are going to be giving out some advice, personalized advice to people who have supported us over on flockfantasy.com. We're going to be looking at their dynasty teams, advising some moves, telling them the direction that we think this team should go, and just really giving some very generalized advice and hoping that that helps them make some moves. What's up, Kyle? What's up, Shane? What's up, Shimmy? Brandon says, watching while working on a 5-page paper that is due tomorrow. Procrastination for the win.
I do not miss that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't miss any part of schooling whatsoever. Like
any type of education, high education, high school, none of that. No, thank you.
Yeah. There's not a bone in my body that misses that. So I feel for you, man. And I hope that
but
it's going to be okay. So, yeah. Badake, if people want to have their team graded, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so once again, if you guys have signed up, have been part of the Discord, go to roster submissions under Fantasyland tab. All you have to do is put your roster, throw a screenshot with your sleeper ID, if you have a sleeper ID, or whatever league that you have, if they do have some sort of ID, make sure you put that with context, and you can kind of see all the other roster submissions on there, and that's probably the easiest way. But if you haven't been part of the
very first step, though, very first step.
Yeah. So very first step, all you have to do is join the Discord. So if you want to
no. That's not the first step.
To sign up,
my man, it was the first step for people to get their teams looked at.
Oh, you have to sign up for sure.
Yeah.
I was confused. I was like, people, I was like, well, this is for the community. Anyways, if you want to get your roster, your rosters graded, your teams graded, all you have to do is sign up. Go to flockfantasy.com/land and you get 30% off. And then after that, you'll be able to submit your roster on the roster submission. So once again, that's also in the link in the description. That's also in the chat in the comments. So if you want your team reviewed, once again, sign up to the Mother Flocker tier with our code LAND and you get 30% off and your roster, or you can get team graded. I want to say roster graded.
Yeah, I mean roster review, I guess.
Roster review, yeah, surely it's the easier way to say that. But
so anyway, step one, sign up to flockfantasy.com with our code LAND, LAND. Okay, make sure you're signing up to the Mother Flocker tier. Once you've done that, you can join the new Discord, and within 24 hours, the developers, you put your username in the Join Here tab over on Discord, and within 24 hours, the developers will unlock the entire Discord for you. You'll unlock a tab in our portion of this Discord, our community's Discord, that is called roster submissions, like Badake said, and then you'll be able to send screenshots there, your sleeper ID, and all that goodness. So we're going to be looking at obviously quite a few of your teams today, and I think it should just be said that, you know, typically if we're on a stream, we'll try and reply to as many comments as we can. Today, unless it's your team and unless it's a super chat, we're going to do our best, but we will be mainly focusing on helping these teams out and trying to get them the best advice possible. So just keep that in mind. If you do need something desperately answered, super chat's probably going to be the best way to go about it. Okay, I'm looking at roster submissions here, and keep in mind, guys, you get one team grade, right?
Yeah, one team grade per, I guess, per person.
Yeah, so make sure that the team that you send us is the one that you want graded. Okay, I'm just going to open up our little document here, Badake. Where is our sign-up page?
Should be there.
Trying to find it. Here we go. Okay. Dogzo is going to be the first team that we're looking at here today. Do we have a sleeper ID? Okay, cool, we do. So let me grab a sleeper ID, and then we're going to get back over here. So I feel like it just needs to be said from the very outset that keep trade cut is not perfect whatsoever. There's a lot of flaws with, I feel like, any site that is giving Dynasty advice. Like, nothing is perfect, but they have a really cool outlook and a really easy way to look at your entire league. And the advice that we're going to give is just starting points for you. You know, we don't expect every bit of advice that we give today just to happen straight up one time and you're good. Like, send this trade, it's going to happen no matter what. No, we say send the trade, then you'll start a conversation and go from there. But the first one here is from Dogzo. So could you tell us the context of this guy's team, DogzotS Team?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Just trying to make sure I have it up. All right, he says, I graded this team back in episode 18 of your grading series last year. I've now rebuilt 2 years in a row, looking to push it all without getting too old. For context, the Jolery Big Commanders fan picks looks to be really high. I guess he was talking about some other teams. Picks is a contender with a lot of other assets. Okay, so basically, he submitted his team. It's a 2-year rebuild, so he's rebuilt this in the last 2 years, essentially, looking to put it all out without getting too old. That's essentially it.
Can you tell me who his quarterbacks are? Because
quarterbacks are Deshaun Watson and Brock Purdy.
Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. Deshaun, Trey, and Brock, right?
Yeah, Deshaun, Trey, Brock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Gardner
So,
Minshew.
as of right now, if you look at full team and picks, Keep Trade Cut has you
second overall.
Second overall. Let's have a look and see how many picks he has, because he has quite a few here. I want to see if we can actually I want to see if we can actually see exactly where those picks are.
Yeah, so he did send a screenshot with those picks.
Looks like it's 104, 107, 108, 109, 111, 207, 308. And then it looks like he's got a first in 24, 2 seconds in 24, and then 3 firsts in 25. So a lot of draft capital here to work with. Unfortunately, really, I'm not saying that the 107 to the 111, like those 4 picks are bad, but not the prime spots that you'd want to be in the first round. But at least we have the 104 there. I feel like there's a lot of leverage with that pick.
I would agree.
But okay, so he's been rebuilding for quite some time, and I think he's alluding to the fact that he feels like he can go all in this year. Quarterbacks: Deshaun, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Malik Willis. So the worst case scenario here is if you're, if let's say like Sam Darnold ends up, for whatever reason, I'm not saying it will happen, ends up being the starter.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like you've covered off that San Francisco quarterback position pretty well.
Yeah, and you don't really have to worry about it. And this is exactly what you want if you're a Trey Lance owner, if you're a Brock Purdy owner.
You need both.
You need both. And this is kind of what I've been alluding to. If you are one of these guys, get both, lock it up, and not have to stress leading up to the season. I mean, but personally, I'm happy to move them. I know you might see that a little bit differently, but if I can move Trey and Brock together and package them up, I mean, once again, it's not perfect, but according to the community, you can get a Lamar Jackson right now. I personally would rather take the risk with Lamar.
That's not happening.
Yeah,
no one's doing
that's what I'm saying. With the community, and we like to say this all the time, no trade is perfect. So whatever.
No, that's true, but that's just stacking the values on top of each other. Like, no one's doing that. I think we need to be very realistic about that. There's not anyone who's going to do that.
I agree. I completely agree. So you can kind of go about that the way you would like, but I would personally try to package a Trey Lance and a Brock Purdy and get, can you get another pick in the draft? You already have the 107, so that's kind of the sweet spot, and you have the 104, so you could get a Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. So just really depends on how you want to move forward. But I'm also happy to keep Trey Lance and Brock Purdy and not move them.
I think the good news is that you have pretty much that position locked down for the most part with San Francisco. So we feel very likely that you'll have the starter for that team, whether it's Trey or it's Brock. I'm not opposed to trading them away for like a Lamar, but like I said, I think we have to be super realistic with this. Like, no one's doing that. You and I wouldn't even blink at that trade if someone sent it to us. So like, what is a realistic name? Like Dak Prescott, maybe. Like, I'm trying to like be very realistic with like, what could you actually package those 2 quarterbacks for? I feel like Dak is like a realistic name potentially. Yeah, to me, he's like the most realistic name. Maybe you have to start going into the Daniel Jones territory, but at that point, you might as well keep Trey Lance and Brock Purdy out, I say.
And that's what, and I agree. You know, I would even say I would rather keep those other 2 because they are younger, and you do have that room solidified, at least on your team. So I think for me, it would just be on the edge there.
Yeah.
You know,
do we know what format this is? Like Superflex, obviously, but
yeah, it's a Superflex 2. It says Superflex 2 quarterback league. That's what it says. Which is
okay. It's a 2 quarterback league, not Superflex. Then
I think it's Superflex. It says Superflex 2 QB.
Then that's confusing. That's probably. Is
think
Dogzo in the chat? Maybe he can let us know.
It's just like our league, 1 quarterback and then a super flex. So that's what it means when it says super flex 2 quarterback.
Because super flex 2 quarterback to me would mean you have 2 quarterbacks and a super flex, but I can see a screenshot, so it looks like that's right.
Yeah.
So as far as the quarterback position, I think you're fine. You have the 104, like Badake said. You can use that on Anthony Richardson if he ends up getting the draft capital that we want him to. At the running back position, you've got Javonte, J.K. Dobbins, Mitchell. I mean, this is where it gets tough because honestly, this running back room is not in a place where like I wouldn't point to this as like an obvious contender for this year. Oh, and by the way, he has Sam Darnold as well on his bench, so yeah.
Yeah, we said that. Yeah.
So I think this is probably where you're using your picks: the 107, 108, 109, 111.
To get that
one of those probably needs to be Charbonnet. And then you can either use those picks to make moves for other running backs, or you can kind of stay still. 2 names that come to mind instantly for me would be Miles Sanders and David Montgomery at this very moment. So
to try and acquire.
Like, I'm thinking Miles Sanders for like the 111 feels like relatively even and like realistic. You know, like if you're the Miles Sanders owner, like the 201, let's be honest, you're probably not. You know what I mean? Like, you're probably not doing that if you have Miles Sanders, but the 111 feels more realistic, and I don't think Charbonnet will be there. So I would say that you and I would be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely. Well, I think Charbonnet can fall to the not at the 111. You're right, but I think 107. So you get Charbonnet, and then you trade the 111 for Miles, or somebody along those lines. So yes, I definitely agree.
Yeah, this running back room looks much better with Charbonnet, Miles Sanders, Javonte, J.K. Dobbins, Mitchell. I feel like you have much more of a base to work with because right now, if we're trying to win right now, Javante's probably not helping you for at least half the season, and Dobbins, they could still draft someone. I keep feeling like that's a possibility. So yeah, those are 2 moves I would suggest.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. I'm trying to look at like lower end running back. Like, what can you get for an Aaron Jones? You know, do you send that 207 for Aaron Jones? Do you send, the 207 for what, like, can you get a Monty? Well, you guess you're trying to get a Monty for
you'd have to send an early second now.
Yeah, I'm looking along those lines. The Aaron Jones, I doubt you can get a Dalvin, but if you really wanted to compete and wanted to go all in, I'm looking at those older guys that I feel really comfortable. What can you get for Joe right now? Because he's still running back 27, so maybe you can get him on the low for a year.
Maybe you can 207 and the 308. Maybe try that as a starting point
along those lines. Yeah, that feels really comfortable for me. So guys, I would target once again. Aaron Jones, a Joe Mixon, a Dalvin Cook. I'll be really happy. I would say on the edge of Derrick Henry, but I think with the community value there, I think that might be a little bit tough. But if you can get him on the low for like once again the 207 in a package, try it out, see what can happen.
Yeah, I almost feel like Cam Akers you might be able to get for that 207 and just hope that they don't draft someone.
Draft
I mean, if
somebody,
they
yeah, I
draft
would
someone,
agree.
then that's gonna suck, like no doubt. But that feels like a closer,
Yeah,
closer bet. But
that
anyway,
feels comfortable.
I think with those ideas, you can start to build a running back room. And the good news is that your weakness with your running back room is going to allow you to, fill that with the picks that you have. At wide receiver, we got Waddle, Burks, Calvin Ridley, Sky Moore. So I wouldn't say that this is like again, two positions where I don't think we're in a prime spot to compete straight away, but if we hit right in the rookie draft, I don't think it's unrealistic that we could be, at that 10, like, let's say you could take Jason at the 104. That's a possibility. If Anthony Richardson doesn't get the draft capital that we want, that would instantly help your team. At the 107, 108, 109, I'm probably looking at a Quentin Johnston, a Jordan Addison, a Zay Flowers, those guys who get first round capital. Maybe even, let's say Josh Downs goes at like pick 30. What is that to the Panthers? Was it pick 39, early second round? You could look at him into the first. But I think that's where you build your wide receiver room with these picks. I personally am probably not sending these picks away to build it. The only name that comes to mind is Christian Watson. So I've talked about this type of trade before. I pulled it off myself, but like the 108 to the 109 and that sort of territory is, I think, where you could go and get him. There are people who are concerned, and I understand why they're concerned because of the likely departure of Aaron Rodgers. But for example, I sent the 108 and the 406 in one of our follower leagues for Christian Watson. When I look at this year's draft, just personally, it's JSN. He clears the rest for me, and then Watson to me is just as valuable as a Quentin Johnston, if not more valuable. Same as Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. So we just know that he has already proven he's very good in the NFL in a small sample size. So I would say like that would be my ideal world, is sending your 109 or 108 for Watson, and then hitting on these other rookie wide receivers and seeing what sort of room you end up with mid-season based off of what Watson is and who these rookie wide receivers could end up being.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. One thing I would say, and I feel like a lot of people are doing this now that I'm seeing the 104, 107, 108. One of these quarterbacks aren't going to get the draft capital. I mean, maybe they both do, right? And when I say both of these quarterbacks, I mean Richardson and Will Levis. So let's just say Richardson goes to the Colts, Will Levis goes to the Raiders. You take the chance on one of those guys. So you have the 104. Do you draft him at the 104, or do you go for a JSN and then feel comfortable with any of those quarterbacks
Will Levis later
at the 107, and then also have the ability to get a Charbonnet, to also have the ability to get a Jordan Addison, and maybe solidify that wide receiver early, and then take the chance with the two quarterbacks. But once again, you have to read the board. You have to understand what those players that have the 106, the 105, where they're at, where their teams are at, and then see if you can continue and move that way. So keep that in mind as well, I would say.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. The good news is, Dogzot, is that like you have most of the picks to fill areas of needs, whether it's through trades or through the draft. I find it hard for you, like the way we imagine rookie drafts panning out, I find it hard for you not to fill these positions of need. I am still skeptical if you are going to like be a huge contender right in year one if these rookies don't hit, but there's a very realistic chance that they do hit. On to tight end, any moves you'd make?
Nah, TJ is kind of the guy I'm happy with to keep. This is not a tight end premium league, is it? No, it's not a tight end premium. So I'm really happy with TJ. Maybe you can get some depth with one of these later picks that you have if you don't trade him away. Maybe at the 207, the 308. Is that a Kraft? Is that a Laporta? If they fall and they, guys that are going to develop a little bit later on, I'll be really happy there to maybe acquire one of those tight ends to have a little bit more depth. But other than that, I think you set and forget with TJ.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, in summation, I think if your rookie picks hit, or if you use them wisely in the trade market, you definitely can be a competing team. What's fantastic is that you have that entire San Francisco quarterback room locked down. So I personally don't feel a need to trade these quarterbacks. Like, I feel very good with what you have right now. I think Watson's going to be much better this year as he has a full offseason. He's undervalued right now. Don't sell him. The 104, hit on Richardson or JSN. At the 107 to the 108, 109, 111, we've talked about trades that you can make for running backs, for wide receivers, and we've also given out advice on what players you could draft with those picks. And yeah, it's a good team. I really think that you have a chance to compete with this team if everything goes right. If not, you're competing, you know, very soon and for a while. Do you know what I mean? It's not like this. Yeah. There's not a lot of huge needs here, and I think you're in a very good position. So
completely agree.
I'm just going to mark off his team that we have given out some advice, but I hope that is helpful, Dogzo. Thank you so much for submitting your team. Who is the end? By the way, anyone who's watching who's like, wait, how do I get my team here? How does this happen? Use our code LAND, LAND, and sign up to the Mother Flocker tier over on flockfantasy.com. That link is pinned in the comments if you want a direct link. It's also in the description below. But if you choose the Mother Flocker tier, everyone gets one of their Dynasty teams reviewed on this channel. Can't do multiple, guys, because the more people sign up, we have to be realistic about giving you an incredible product right here, like reviewing your teams right here. Otherwise, we couldn't do everyone unlimited teams. I hope that makes sense. Hope you guys get where we're coming from, but we always want to give you the best advice possible. So choose a team that you want us to review on the stream, and keep in mind that you have your hotline if you have any questions that come up. Everyone has a fancy hotline where they can ask us advice. So the next person...
Hold on, before you go on really fast, what are you showing right now on your screen, out of curiosity? Just the ranking page on the flock? Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because you were moving your mouse around as if like maybe you had it on a different screen but didn't realize it, because what you're showing is the flock ranking page. Okay.
Yeah, I was just telling people that they could sign up to the page.
To the page. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I thought maybe it was a different page, or you weren't on the right page. Okay, no, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Next one is Basey Crown.
Okay.
So Casey Brown. I don't know if you realized that he kind of flipped his name around.
All right, let me copy his ID, and while I'm doing that, could you just fill us in on some context?
Okay, let's see. It says rebuilding should have 4 to 5 top picks for the next year's draft based on the team's strength. He also says check out Dynasty Daddy for the team ranking. They include multiple sites and take into account starting lineups.
I've looked at Dynasty Daddy. I don't really like I personally don't like the interface.
Yeah,
we can have a look at it though.
It doesn't feel. I've looked into it. I feel like it doesn't feel user friendly, but maybe
it's not very user friendly. I don't think. But let's try and do it for him. I just don't really like the way it looks. So the 2023 season was loaded. Check out your league here. So
we also have to make. I remember we had to make an account, right, or something like that.
No, you don't have to make an account. But then it's like, I don't know. It doesn't feel very. Let's just use it for Casey, because I know that he specifically requested it. But I'm not a fan of the layout personally. So let's look at the format. It looks like a one quarterback, Badake. Just based off the screenshot.
Yeah, based off the screenshot.
Yikes.
It is one quarterback. Has defense, but he has 2 wide receivers and 3 flex spots.
Yeah.
According to this.
Start 10, including a defense, and his defense is the Chicago Bears.
He's
also got the Falcons and the Cardinals on his bench. I'm not a huge fan of defenses in Dynasty, but I mean, the Cardinals are awful. I guess the Falcons are getting better. The Bears will be better with.
I feel like the Bears will be better.
Yeah.
But you can't really do much with the defense that you have. You just gotta rotate based off matchup here.
So this website has you. I believe it's called Dynasty Daddy. Yep, has you as the first overall team. And then looking at your team, keeping in mind it is a 1 quarterback league. You've got Kenny Pickett, Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew. I think there's going to be a scenario in which you and I, Badake, advise to upgrade at quarterback. only because you can rock with Kenny and Geno, but in a one quarterback, I feel like you want to have, like, if you're competing, that top 5 to 6 quarterback where it makes a difference weekly. You're not getting like 15 to 17 points per game at your quarterback position. You're getting 23 or so, you know. Keep in mind that we are a 6-point passing touchdown, you know. That's what we rock with. But yeah, so as far as quarterback, I don't dislike this quarterback room, but yeah. So let's go quarterback last.
Okay. At quarterback class.
At running back, we have Miles Sanders, Malik Davis. So really, it's just Miles Sanders there. But the good news is with his draft capital, the 101, we have Bijan Robinson. So we'll add Bijan to this team. At the 102, we can either go JSN or Jahmyr Gibbs, depending on what you prefer. I probably am going to go JSN. Then at the 106 and the 107, you can draft... like, let's say Tajay Spears goes early second. You can use the 107 on that. Or let's say Kendre Miller goes early second. Or Zach Evans or Sean Tucker. Or like whoever is that running back that ends up early second, you can spin that 107 on. And then all of a sudden your running back room goes from just Miles Sanders to Miles Sanders, Bijan Robinson, Tajay Spears, and whoever else you want to add. There's a lot of picks here to make moves. But I wouldn't sell Miles Sanders. I'm happy to keep him personally.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep Miles. I think with Bijan and Miles, it's a good one. And then, like Zach said, you get the depth later on, whether that's the 106, 107, maybe even 201 if somebody does fall in the second round there. Wide receivers looks pretty stacked here. Drake, J-Mo, Burks, Jahan, Tony.
It's stacked, but it's not like we look at. It's mostly like projecting being incredible, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like an easy way to say it, but like we're projecting this to be a fantastic wide receiver room, but
and
still
it's gonna get better.
Yeah, it's gonna get better for sure.
And that's the thing, right? Like, once again, you have the 102, and all these other draft picks. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that you're gonna draft Bijan and then JSN at the 101, 102, unless you are a Quentin believer. So you have Bijan and JSN. JSN fits into this role here really good on your team.
Yeah. Where
you can put JSN over Tony and then have Tony as a rotational guy or base off matchup, whatever the case may be. And I think that really helps you there. And the 106, I mean, sometimes Quentin could fall. Sometimes that could be a Josh Downs, a Zay Flowers, a Jordan Addison if they don't get the draft capital, but you take a chance on him, especially in a one quarterback league, you know. So that can definitely be something around there.
I don't think this is tight end premium.
No,
because typically you would say that it was if it was.
Yeah, he didn't say it was tight end premium.
So we have Njoku there, which is fine. There's two different ways you can go about this rebuild, Casey. Like, option one is you just stay on track and keep trying to hit with your first round picks. I think regardless, if it was me, I'd be going Bijan and JSN with the first two picks, regardless. No matter which direction you're going to take. The other direction is, hey, I got these assets. It's no longer rebuild season. It's time to compete right now. And if that's what you wanted to do, I would start exploring like what I could get for the 106 and the 107. You also have 6 first round picks next year. Like, you got so much to play around with, but I'm just thinking like, man, this is very difficult to look at these teams. So someone has Trevor Lawrence and Lamar Jackson. What moves could I make to get a Lamar Jackson on my team? I know it's one quarterback, but again, if you wanted to go ahead and go all in this year because you have enough, I think you have enough to try and do that. But, could you like send like the 106 for Lamar Jackson right now to that team who has Trevor Lawrence? They might accept it. They might not accept it. That's up to them. But, a move that you can make, Trevor Lawrence or even Lamar Jackson there.
You can even go to the other team, Fun Jeff. He has Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Can you get Jalen Hurts off of him?
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of those. I mean, you can even do MC Cooter. You could do Justin Fields or Kyler Murray, right? Like, maybe you can get Kyler Murray on the low right now based off of that ACL tear, and he has Justin Fields and Tua.
Yeah,
You know,
I
so there's
wonder,
definitely
like,
some options.
this might be too drastic, but could you get Kyler for like the 201 in a one quarterback? Because you and I aren't drafting a quarterback before. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not drafting a quarterback before that.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So,
a rookie quarterback. So, I mean, that's something that you could consider.
yeah, there's definitely some ways you can go about it.
But yeah, I think those two teams might be ideal. MC Cooter, Fun
MC
Jeff,
Cooter.
and then also, who was it that had?
I think it was
Will Mintz.
Yeah, and then Chad. I think it was Chad the dude that had Jalen Hurts. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong team. Sorry.
So again, this is only if you wanted to go all in right now. Get you a quarterback that's going to give you that 20 plus points per game ceiling. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed in a one quarterback. Let's say Michael Mayer or Dalton Kincaid, they fall in like the absolute perfect landing spot. I'm saying like they are the Cowboys trade up to pick 18 to draft one of them. You know what I mean? They're going to fill that Dalton Schultz role and be better than Dalton Schultz long term. Like in one of those scenarios, I'm not opposed to using, like, let's say the 107, but I'm most likely just hitting on wide receivers and running backs there.
Yeah.
But yeah, two different ways you can take it. I don't have any advice for defense because I don't really know. Like, we don't play with defenses in our dynasty leagues.
I'm pretty sure defenses. It's tough. It's also tough not understanding where who's on the waiver wires, you know, and what teams are going to do. I would just say there's probably going to be a team on the waiver wires that maybe you should pick up. You just don't know. That's what happens every year, right?
Yeah, and also defenses year by year. Like the ones that, if you play in a redraft league with defenses, each year the top defenses end up being shit. Like that's just how it works. People are like, oh yeah, this is the defense. Look at the games they have to start the year, and then they end up being like ranked 27th after week 3. You know, like that's just how defense. Like you can't really project defense in fantasy. That's just not how it typically works. It's really people who get sacks and turnovers. But yeah, overall, I think with those moves, you're going to be able to have a much better team. Like I said, regardless, I'm going JSN and Bijan at the 101 and 102. And then at the 106 and the 107, if you wanted to go all in, I'm trying to maybe make a move for a superstar quarterback, and maybe with that 106, 107 package someone else to get a superstar wide receiver, and then just go all in because you have all those picks next year too. So you could literally win this year and still be in the driver's seat. So yeah, you've done well here.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Last bit of advice?
No, I think we hit it on the head. I mean, he has a really good team. Just up tier on quarterbacks if you want, or stay where you're at. But other than that, really good team, I would say.
Yeah.
Good draft capital.
Okay. Thank you so much, Casey. Appreciate you. Who is the next team that we are looking at here?
I think it's S.
Yes, it is
S.
Do we have his sleeper ID?
Sleeper ID.
I don't think we do, do we?
Do have his sleeper ID. That's okay, but he did put a full screenshot of his team.
Let me go ahead and add this screen then as a source.
Yeah, go for it. As you do that, I'll read the team context. It's a 10-team, 1 quarterback PPR. So my team now versus what I started the year with. Oh, so he has 2 screenshots. Okay. I was rebuilding for 2 years and now not progressing like I wanted to. So I started watching your channel, and channels like it. Okay. Got really lucky with trades and someone overpaid me for the 101, but I feel like I'm ready to compete from 4 to 5 years with the same team and assets. I would like a better quarterback, but thinking about taking one with one of my second rounders in the draft. What do you boys think? Thanks for the help.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see his team here.
And this is good for anyone who doesn't know. Like when you do sign up to the site, you unlock this tab. You unlock roster submissions, fantasy hotline, dynasty trades. You of course unlock the others as well. But okay, so yeah, you mentioned S's team, 10-team, 1 quarterback. First off, big shout out to S. Appreciate you. Thanks for the support, my man. But let's have a look at the squad. Oh, it's going to be tough to see in these screenshots. I'll be honest with you. This is
okay.
Going to be tough to see.
What you should do is open up. I don't know how you do it, but I would open up in a new browser. Like use that, click on that option, and then make that browser
open
the
link?
source. Or that maybe that can work. Because if you click on, like, when you click on the link on the Discord and you click open browser, it opens it up in a new one where you can zoom in and out really easy.
Okay. 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 Let's have a look here. So this is what I'm currently looking at here.
Yeah, and you should be able to zoom in and out easy when you do that. If you click in and out, if you're on the...
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll start off as maybe you're doing that. Aaron Rodgers is one, so there's one quarterback. So
it is one
Aaron
quarterback,
Rodgers,
yeah.
Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Trey Lance as quarterback. So you have plenty of quarterbacks to kind of rotate here.
That's just the reality of a one quarterback league.
Yeah, I mean, can you trade them? It might be a bit tough. Once again, it's probably really hard to give you that advice without the sleeper ID.
And is this the original team, Badake, or
this is the original team?
Okay, let's go to the team that he has now.
Well, this is the team that he has now, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. This is because you mentioned there was two teams.
Oh, sorry. So, okay, I meant like this is the team that he has now, and I guess the team that he had before was the screenshot.
Okay, so this is the team that he used to have. All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we can leave quarterbacks till later to really figure out what he can do.
Well, honestly, like the issue you're in here with quarterback is that none of these guys are like elite, and none of them have real trade value. Let's just be 100% honest and transparent here. Like, no one is trading in a one quarterback league for Kirk Cousins any value, which is why it's so easy to get a Kirk Cousins, you know. Russell Wilson, same thing. Trey Lance, hopefully he blows up. But I think I'm just rocking with this quarterback room because I don't see a scenario in which that you can, with your draft capital, really upgrade big time.
Well,
I'm probably rocking with what he has, and then I would look at, you know, each week what the best start is.
One thing I would say, he has a 204 and a 207, and I know you, and maybe you're opposed to this, but I would be okay with it. If you are willing to draft the Anthony Richardson, the Bryce Young, the CJ Stroud at the 204 or the 207, get rid of Aaron Rodgers after the year. You can even drop him. I don't even think you can get any trade value from him.
I wouldn't drop him, but yeah.
But, you know, you can kind of rotate and have the younger guys, because if Russell Wilson doesn't have the best year this year, then you kind of know what to do. Kirk Cousins on the last couple of years, or I think his last year of his contract. So, and Trey Lance, you don't have the Brock Purdy. So if he doesn't win the job, you don't have a starting quarterback in that scenario, right? So do you look at getting a quarterback at the 204 or the 207? Once again, it can be any of the quarterbacks that you really want to choose, and at least you have your guy. But that could be a way, but I know a lot of people would be opposed to that with the depth of quarterbacks that you have already in a one quarterback league.
Yeah. You know, I just think there's so many quarterbacks here. I would struggle to add another quarterback to this roster. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 already in a one quarterback league. Do we want to rock with 5 quarterbacks? I don't know. Like, I'm definitely not doing it at the 204, but the 207, if Richardson's there, I'm fine. But, I mean, we have to see what other team needs he has, really. So let's look at running back. Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. That's a pretty great 1-2 there. And then on your bench, you got Monty, B-Rob, Mitchell's there. So that's actually a pretty good running back room. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with the depth there and how he can continue to grow.
And I'm not trading any of these guys away. I think Monty's undervalued personally. I've been saying that all offseason. I mean, I would be willing to trade Brian Robinson if I get, like, you know, the right compensation. What's his value right now in a one quarterback league? Like, what sort of pick could you get? It's probably pretty... I would imagine it's pretty... I
would say low seconds in a one quarterback right now. I mean...
So he's worth more than the 206.
Oh, wow.
He's worth about the 204 in a one quarterback. So running backs are a little bit more valuable in that format. So that makes sense. Yeah, at that point, you probably keep Brian.
Yeah, I like Brian Robinson, so I'm happy to keep him. I think he takes another big step this year. I don't think the Commanders are going to be in position to draft another running back.
Dude, there's some people that I'm seeing online who are like, Bijan's not getting past the Commanders. I'm like, damn, would we really draft Bijan Robinson?
I mean, that would be great.
We could think about it. We definitely could. Like, Brian Robinson to me has never been this franchise running back.
I would agree if Bijan's there, I would 100% draft Bijan, even if I had those guys. But you know me, I don't think he gets out of the top 10. But
yeah, I would say that number for me is top 20. Top 20.
Top 20. Yeah, that's fair.
He's definitely a first-round pick. So at running back overall, like E.T. and Brees, these are pillars. I'm not moving them. Montgomery to me is undervalued. Those three guys with your format are good enough to rotate. So we don't need to force it. And it's good that you don't have, I mean, it's not good that you don't have draft capital, but it's good that you have those needs filled. Then at wide receiver, we've got A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Watson, Brandon Ayuk. Very good team. On our bench, we still have Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks. Adam Thielen's there for sure.
Thielen, DJ Chark with the Carolina Panthers right now. I mean, this is a really good wide receiver room. So
you've made most of the moves that we would have suggested, I reckon. Like, I think you've made most of those moves to set your team up for the future. I would say in a year from now, this wide receiver room probably looks even stronger when people have officially broken out and established themselves. But
I would agree here.
Yeah, there's no clear obvious moves here.
And then tight end position, you have Kyle Pitts. So like, I don't think
great team.
You don't do anything. I would actually argue that probably the best move to do is that quarterback one. With the team that he has, maybe Brees Brees, you'd be expecting to be back in I would say midway through the season, but you do have Monty that can kind of fill in there. So
I think I'm happy to
get another running back at the 204.
If A-Rich is available at the 204, I'd be happy to try it because all of our needs are pretty well filled. Hopefully you guys can just hear those screaming. That scream my aunt or my niece and nephew are over.
Okay.
But at the 204, 207, 301, I'm going best player available regardless with this team. Most of our positions are pretty well filled.
So like now one quarterback.
And keep in mind, this is IDP. You can start one defensive player. So that might push some of those superstar defensive players up the board.
True.
I don't know what scoring format your IDP is, but also we have kickers. Damn. We don't have a kicker in Dynasty right now for this team.
I think that's okay. I mean, you drop Latavius Murray and you pick up a kicker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an easy solve there. But you know, I'm just looking through our second round mock drafts video.
But you have to keep in mind that, you know,
I know it's different.
The IDP is going to be involved, and I don't know if it's
high
tough.
Somebody takes
each league is so different with IDP, but
yeah, like I mean, to be fair, I don't. We both don't know much about IDP, so like.
Shimmy, we haven't done your team yet, by the way.
Yeah, how high does a defensive player gets taken in a mock draft?
Yeah,
or in a draft, right? Like, I'm really interested to see.
Maybe kicker is for the rookies. Like. Yeah, it could be. Overall, this is a very good team. You're in a very good spot. Something you mentioned, it is a 10 team league. So the more I think about it, the more I'm okay to take a shot on A-Rich at the 204 if he's there. You know, assuming he gets drafted high like we think. But I mean, you're solid at tight end. You got Ingram and Kyle Pitts. You're solid at wide receiver. You're great at running back. And Steelers are a good defense to have. Historically, they've been great. So I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, I think this is a great team. Highly considered a quarterback there, and maybe you package Russ and Trey or something. I don't know, or whatever the case may be. If Trey does become the starter, then you're set, right? But like you won't know that. You won't know that when your rookie mock or your rookie draft comes around. So you might have to take a chance on A-Rich, or whoever that is.
And I think the tough part about that is, in this format, 10 teams, not many people are gonna want Kirk Cousins or Trey. You know, it's like there's not going to be much value anyway, so you might as well hold them. There's going to be
so many people on the bench still probably available or on the way. That's why I'm thinking, you know, maybe Aaron Rodgers is dropping.
I wouldn't drop him. No, I wouldn't drop him. You don't know if he's about to have an MVP season.
Sure, I would say yes. He's probably not worth dropping right now, but like if the trade doesn't happen or whatever falls out, and he says he's gonna retire, obviously you drop him. I think
If
that's
he
pretty clear to
retires,
drop.
yes.
Yeah,
But I mean,
that's obvious.
there's no. I'm not dropping him unless he retires.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So I think there's definitely some opportunity for your team
But I
to
think
definitely get better.
looking at what your team was last year, you've done really well to rebuild. You've done a great job of rebuilding, actually. It's funny because if you look at this team as a redraft team specifically, it looks pretty good going into last year.
Yeah.
Mitchell was the starter. Edmonds was the starter. We
Yeah.
thought Allen Robinson was, going to be good. But anyway, yes. Okay, so who is the next person? S, thank you so much for your submission, my man. Again, if you guys are wondering how to get your team looked at by us, there's only one way to do it, and it's quite simple. You can sign up to Flock Fantasy using our code LAND. Has to be our code, LAND, LAND. There's a direct link in the pinned comment. And when you sign up, you unlock part of our Discord. And one of those tabs that you unlock is called Roster Submissions. Each person gets one of their team looked at. In that text channel, we do this stream weekly at this point. So if you want your team looked at for the next stream, sign up today. And then you'll have that part of the Discord unlocked, and we can look at it with you on the stream this time next week. Okay, who is the next person? I believe it would be Tarndts, right?
Tarndts, yes, it is Tarndts. Okay.
All right, we got his sleeper ID. Make sure you guys put your sleeper or my fantasy league ID or whatever you're rocking with there. That's just going to make it easier for us to look at your team. Can you tell me who his quarterbacks are?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, okay,
he is.
Okay, he's team 4 here.
Team 4, yeah, he's team 4.
So is this another one quarterback?
No, it's 12 team Superflex.
Oh, this is a Superflex. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's so high with Kyle Trask as QB2.
Here, I can read it out unless you want to read it out.
No, go ahead.
12 team Superflex PPR, half tight end premium, start 10, bench 15, 5 taxi spots. We're entering year 1 of the league. I feel like I'm a really solid hybrid win now situation. Mahomes, Kelsey, stacked and tight end premium should be solid.
Yeah.
I have the 103 and plan to grab Young Stroud to insert as my QB2. I don't have a ton of depth and my wide receivers I'm in love with, but I definitely have a few question marks still. I have an offer waiting on my responses. That is Deontay Johnson, a 23-206 for my 24 first. That will put me in this year's rookie draft with picks 203, 204, 206, and take some shots on likely running backs and tight ends from this class, and add some more depth with hopefully better draft capital. The other 24 first, I feel great to end up early due to the other team's roster constructions. The trade that first one integral over. Okay.
So we have the 103 he already talked about. And he's going to take Bryce or Stroud there.
Bryce or Stroud,
which is great. And then he's also got the 203, the 204, the 305, the 310, the 406, and the 410. So running backs, we got Nick Chubb, Jamal Williams. This is where it's tough because you're definitely competing, but that running back room is
it's tough.
Is not great, and we don't have a lot of capital to move this year. What I would say is instantly, like the 203, the 204 for me is like that's a running back. Is that Zach Evans? Is it Sean Tucker? Is it Kendre Miller? Is it Tajay Spears? Is it Rashawn Johnson? Like, who gets the second, third round, early third round capital? That's who you're drafting there. And all of a sudden, your running back room looks a little bit more steady with the strengths that you have in this format. I personally wouldn't move Nick Chubb. Like, in your format, I think he's going to be fine this year. And I think with Deshaun Watson, I'm excited about seeing what Nick Chubb could do through the air. And you also have Jerome Ford there, which is great in case he develops into that, let's say, Kareem Hunt type role. So personally, again, at the 203 or 204, I'm just taking 2 shots on running backs there. Unless you have any other advice at the running back position specifically.
At the running back position, I don't think that's a problem. I'm just looking like, do I really want to continue to try and compete, or should I just completely go full rebuild here? Because you do have 2 firsts in 2024. So can he move somebody and just push to 2024? I'm just trying to find a team that might want to do that.
Yeah.
So
I think like with Mahomes and the Kelsey stack, it's tough not to go all in right now.
And that's what
in a tight end premium format.
Part.
I would go all in if I had that stack right now.
Because I'm thinking, okay, what can we move for Travis? I mean, we've said that he is normally worth what I would say it was like from the 106 to the 108 ish.
That's in a non-tight end premium format.
Yeah. Okay. So he's even more even more valuable in a tight end premium format, which means he can get an even higher draft pick. He can get even a more valuable player. Obviously, not as in the level of Travis Kelce with this stack, but the way his team is built right now, I feel like maybe I should move on from Travis Kelce. That's a difficult part. That's why I don't know which way to sway here. If I would really want to keep it, because the problem is like you have to build for the depth in the running back room, but then you don't have depth in the wide receiver room, right? Like you focus on one and you lose out on the other. So you won't be able to compete. So if you do draft a Zach, let's just say you draft a Zach Evans the 203, and at the 204, the best available player is another running back. You're going to start him in your third flex spot, and you have Alec Pierce as your second flex starter, which doesn't seem sexy right now. So that's what's difficult for me here.
I hear you. I just think that tight end premium is so powerful with Travis Kelce.
With Travis,
Yeah, I think there's a realistic shot that once you put CJ Stroud or Bryce Young at that super flex spot, then you've got a really, really solid squad. And yeah, there's a little bit of projecting going on there because the depth is not very strong. So I hear you.
Yeah, it's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've kind of said this before. If I have Kelce, I'm kind of riding him out right now. You already have the 103. Like, you're not going to get the 102. If you get the 104, you get JSN. Right? I mean, or A-Rich. I mean, that's good, but JSN helps your wide receiver room, but then you're stuck with no tight end in a tight end premium format. So I don't think we're actually helping ourselves. I think we're hurting ourselves.
Yeah, it's tough.
And in a tight end premium format, to get rid of an elite tight end is almost like you only want to do it if you can transition to another elite tight end. I'm not sure that we could do that.
But like, would it be worth like? Okay, so I'm just looking at it right now. Travis Kelce in a super flex league, non-tight end premium, you can get him for the 106 to the 105. Is someone really going to do that in a tight end premium? Like, you can.
Yeah, I would see someone do that pretty easily.
You can get more in a tight end premium league. So that means, let's just say, you can get the 104. He has the 103. Can you then trade away Travis Kelce, then get, CJ Stroud, a JSN, or whoever he wanted to get, and then hope to get another tight end? Yeah, like
that's what I'm saying. Like you're kind of hurt. But it helps fixing a problem, but making an even bigger problem.
I just think that it helps his team in the long run as an overall build, because then you just hold on to Travis Kelce until he falls off, and then you don't have like.
I hear you. I just feel like we're trying to fix a problem by creating a bigger one. The only way I'm moving off of Kelce is if I can get another tight end that I love and that I can rely on. A Hawkinson. I wouldn't even put Kittle there right now, to be honest. Like,
so if you can get a Hawkinson,
Andrews.
Let me just see what that looks like. So if I can get a Hawkinson,
but then again, you have this Mahomes Kelce stack, which can win you each week. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just feel like we're making a bigger problem by doing that in a tight end premium format.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. And I see it the opposite, where I feel like we're not helping our team compete now, and that's the objective. And I don't think it's going to be able to compete. So you're going to hold on to the Travis Kelsey stack, not compete, and then by the time you're ready to compete, you're not going to have the best tight end in the league, right? Maybe he does retire, but we don't know. The thing is, we don't know that window, right? So let's just say Travis retires in the next 3 years. You have 224 first, which is great. Okay, so you get a 24 first, you get another running back, you get another wide receiver. Does Nick Chubb then walk? Is he on a different team, right? Like, there's no one else to kind of push him along. So,
yeah,
it's just tough. Like, I wonder if I can get.
I imagine though, what is being underlooked here is how difficult it is to get a good tight end in this league. There's probably no scenario in which the guy who has Kyle Pitts wants to move him. Genuinely, there's probably no scenario. Same for whoever has Hawkinson. Same for whoever has, like Andrews. And yeah, you could fix it.
Flop though.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, what if you flop tight ends? Like, what if you get a Pat Freiermuth in a first in this tight end premium? What if you get a David Njoku in a first in the tight end premium? Because that is a massive tier down. You're getting the tight end one, that guy's gonna win, and that's how you sell it in the premium, right? Like, yeah, you probably don't. I don't think you can pivot from Travis. I don't think there will be any reason from pivoting from Travis to Kyle Pitts unless you're just trying to get younger. So why not try and pivot down and get people that I would say we both believe in? Once again, in the Pat Freiermuths, I would say the Njokus, maybe the Dallas Goederts. And then also get draft capital, so you still have the tight end, the good tight end premium guy that's also going to give you points week in and week out. Maybe not as much as a Travis Kelce, but you still get the draft capital.
Yeah. I don't know. That's difficult. I mean, we're talking, so like to say in this tight end premium format, it's just I think we're undervaluing the impact that Travis Kelce has. I mean, we're talking about Pat Freiermuth, right? Pat Freiermuth didn't score 10 PPR points per game last year. Like, he was under 10 PPR points. You got Travis Kelce at 18.6. Like, he truly is the difference maker at the position. There's no one else over 14 points per game last year. Travis Kelce's almost at 19. I mean, so it's really difficult. I mean, he had 110 receptions last year. So essentially, if we're looking at, let me just do this quick math for us. We're looking at 21.8 points per game. 21.8 points per game, which would be wide receiver 2. You are more valuable in a redraft league than Justin Jefferson. You scored more points than Justin Jefferson last year. Travis Kelce did in this format. So it's tough because I hear you. Ideally, we want to do that, but we're not replacing Kelce with someone who gives us anywhere near his production. We're replacing him with a mid tight end in Pat Freiermuth, and that's fine, but Pat Freiermuth scored as much as Tyler Higbee, Gerald Everett. So we're not really getting the advantage at that position. I don't know. I hear you.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think we could be making ourselves a bigger problem, though. You know where I'm coming from? Like, I don't know.
I definitely see it being a bigger problem. I guess like
Let me name names that I'd be okay to pivot to: Kittle, Hawkinson, Andrews, Goddard.
The thing is, with those names that you said, I don't think you can pivot.
That's exactly what I've said. That's exactly what I've been saying.
I'm saying, like, I don't think you can pivot and get more.
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying it's very difficult to get tight ends in this format.
In that, with those guys that you named specifically, in the Kittles, the TJs.
Right, and what I'm saying is that you're not getting that advantage at the tight end position with the names that you're mentioning.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know how to. If I see both perspectives. You know, I see how Travis Kelce is the most valuable here in the tight end premium. You probably spent a lot of draft capital as well drafting him in your startup as well.
Mm.
Wanting to get that stack, you know, you probably did a little bit of reaching, I would say, with Mahomes and Travis, or giving up draft capital.
Yeah, I feel like we did sacrifice draft capital in the startup to get Mahomes probably and Kelce.
And Kelce with the stack,
and it might have made it really difficult for us to build around the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Again, I'm happy to move off of Kelce, but it's only if I get those. It's only if I get those following players, which I've said it's probably not going to happen: Kittle, Hawkinson, Andrews, Goddard. That's where the list pretty much ends for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you're kind of, you know, rocking a hard place here.
Yeah. And I know you say you wanted to compete, or you wanted to be in this area to compete, and I just don't think you're going to be there. I think Christian Watson, JMO, Burks definitely do have opportunities to take those next steps coming into this year. But you have two big holes in your flex spot with Alec Pierce. Maybe Alec Pierce takes a big step. Maybe,
but he's probably not someone that's contributing on a weekly basis.
And maybe Sean Tucker or Zach Evans lands in a really good spot that can be the Damian Pierce of this year, and you start him in the flex spot, your third flex spot, which could be something, right? But you're still...
So if we go the route that you're talking about, where we sell Kelce, you're selling Chubb too. So if you don't think you can compete, you're selling Kelce and you're selling Chubb.
Mm-hmm. And I'm getting draft capital, and in at least this year or 2024, I would even be okay with 2024 because you have 224 first. So let's build there.
Yeah.
You know, Brock Bowers. I mean, I don't know what other tight ends out there, but can you pivot to one of those guys?
Sure.
Probably not going to be as the Travis Kelce's with Mahomes, but I don't know. Maybe that could be something.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tough move. Honestly, if it's me, like, I hear where Badake's coming from. I mean, this team has Jalen Hurts, but they don't have a solidified QB2, but the rest of their team is just stacked. Honestly, you put this team versus team one, and I hear you out. You're probably not beating this team.
No way.
You're not beating that team, actually.
I just don't know. And
why does no one have a good quarterback two in this league?
I have no idea. And that's why I've been trying.
You could beat team two for sure.
I think that's why it's tough to do it.
You're not beating team three, I don't think. Yeah. Look, two different directions that you can go. Two different paths here. Okay, you can go all in on this year and ride the tight end premium with Kelce. Draft CJ Stroud, that's your quarterback two, or Bryce Young, and then try and hit on these running backs and just hope that these wide receivers end up reaching their ceiling. It's unfortunate that you have 2 firsts next year, not this year. I mean, you could, if you wanted to go all in, then you could use those firsts to build around this team. But yeah, the more I look at team one, I'm really struggling to see how you beat that team with your current construction.
Yeah, I would agree. So, one more time, I'm happy to trade Travis Kelce and more. I'm happy to tear down significantly in the tight end room and get draft capital in this year's draft or in 2024, knowing that I'm going to rebuild later for the future. Pat Frymuth, David Njoku. I would potentially squeeze Dallas Goedert in there, but I think that might be a bit tough. And I don't think there's anyone else that you could potentially tear down to. I mean, you could take a massive risk with Greg Dulcich, a Trey McBride, and get even more draft capital than having the value in the tight end position. But I think getting a Pat Frymuth and squeezing in a late first or squeezing in a mid first in the tight end premium somehow, maybe you can do that, especially with how valuable Travis Kelce is in this format. So I would say shop around, see what you can do. But if not, I'm happy for you to stay and try and compete and get somebody in the seconds, the 203 and the 204.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think regardless, though, you do need to make a decision on what you're going to do. You can't just stay in this middle zone. Either way you want to go, you got to make a decision. Okay, the next person here is Shane Anderson.
Mr.
And we do
Anderson.
have his sleeper ID here. So what I'm going to do
Nice.
is I'm going to go ahead and copy this sleeper ID.
He has, what does he have? He has Deshaun Watson.
And I need to go to the bathroom real quickly. So let's find out who his team is. You said Deshaun's is QB1?
Yeah, it's Starkest before Deshaun.
Okay.
Team
So
6.
you can see this team now. I'll be right back.
No worries, no worries. As he's doing that, I'll read the context. He says home league 10 team, start 10 superflex PPR non-tight end premium, started the league in 2021, built a heavy running back win now team, got second place and started tearing down. Been rebuilding since. The league isn't super trade heavy, 3 to 5 guys that really invest all year round. Open to any ideas for the next few moves. Current offer to other players: 106 for Christian Watson, Claypool, and Pickett for Dotson. I think that's a bit too much. Current offers from players: Lawrence and Hollywood Brown for Watson, 101, 24 first. Okay, let's see the team. As Zach said, you can see the team. Casey, I'm not gonna move Daniel Jones. I think that's the problem. I'm not gonna move Daniel Jones unless I can solidify another quarterback. Okay. So his team in the quarterback room is Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, Trey Lance, Kenny Pickett. I mean, you have a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to have a quick read.
No, I already read it.
Oh, you read it? Okay, yeah. So once again, Deshaun, Jones, Love. I mean, a lot of guys here. I think we can potentially trade one of these guys for somebody in a weaker position if there is a weaker position.
Which he has a trade
yeah,
out there.
I did see that.
But yeah, I would say quarterback room, like you're pretty solid here. Daniel Jones is a great QB2. Jordan Love is a wild card. And then you have Trey Lance as a wild card 2.0. Pickett is definitely expendable in this format, which we'll talk about once we see the rest. But let's go to running back then. Running back's probably your weakest spot by far.
This is the weakest spot for sure.
And honestly, I don't think that this team is like to the point where we're not drafting Bijan. Like there's enough here where we're drafting Bijan. So I think that's.
Oh yeah. You're gonna draft. He has the 101, so he is drafting Bijan without a doubt. And I think the struggle is still the RB2,
which we can address at the 108.
Yes, you could potentially address at the 108 with a Zach Charbonnet. So this could be a Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, a Bijan Robinson and a Zach Charbonnet at the 108. So yeah, that can definitely be very, very good.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I think Bijan at 101, Charbonnet at the 108 if he gets the draft capital that we want from him. And at the 301, the 303, and the 401, I'm just probably taking shots at RBs there. Guys last year like Brian Robinson was there, Tyler Algier at times was there. You know, like those players who probably got worse draft capital, but there's not much competition around them. Like those types of running backs. And with the 103. I think the 103 is like that is a prime trade back.
Yeah.
Pick because you do not need to draft another quarterback. I'm trying to look at like what team probably could use. Like, can you dig it? Kirk Cousins is his quarterback too. He could definitely improve. Jay Mahomes fan club could definitely improve with Jared Goff as his quarterback too.
He said not that many people like to trade, so it might be a bit difficult.
Sure.
Just keep that in mind.
Barkley, no bite, I think is a really good option to trade back. I mean, if all Barkley, no bite is down to do it, it's realistic to say 103 for JT. That's not a crazy trade to throw out there. We've seen that before. It's happened. Yep. And that's definitely something I would be trying to get done because he absolutely needs to address quarterback too, unquestionably.
Yeah, I would agree there. I would definitely agree.
Outside of that, I feel like most people are probably okay. You know, at quarterback too, it's a 10-team format.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, how would you feel about sending a Kenny Pickett for a Miles? Is that a bit too? Is that like not enough yet?
Ooh,
Still,
that's tough. Yeah.
where we at, where Miles is at right now, like we're thinking late first, right? So that's like a 111 ish. That's where Kenny is kind of valued.
Who has Miles Sanders?
Miles, the guy, Team 3 has Miles Sanders.
Right. He's got Carr as QB2.
Yeah. So
and Miles Sanders looks quite expendable. If you could do Sanders plus, like, could we upgrade somewhere else? Oof. I mean, we're really rough after that.
What if? Oh, yeah, it is tough, man. I mean, we can go to
Sanders and Bateman. Give me Sanders and Bateman for Rondell and Kenny.
Okay.
That's the kind of trade I want to cook up there. Kenny Pickett. I said Rondell, right?
Yeah, you did say Rondell.
For Bateman and Miles.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of trade I'm trying to cook up there, and let's see what happens. Keeping in mind that, again, his league doesn't trade too much, so, you know, can't guarantee
that's what I'm trying to. That's what
people aren't going to respond. But
really spread out and see where he can go here. Because I think running back, he can definitely pivot. I mean, a quarterback he can definitely sell without a doubt. And that, I would say, don't just try and sell one quarterback. Don't just look at Kenny Pickett and be like, okay, I'll move him. Like, be happy to sell. I'm
happy to sell anyone except for Deshaun.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, because you can fluctuate in any way. Like, you can get Daniel Jones for the 106 right now, according to the community. Yeah. Or can you get Daniel Jones for, you know, one of these running backs or for another wide receiver, right? Like, we haven't even touched on the wide receiver room, but keep in mind, if you wanted to, you have the depth in the quarterback room to where you can really solidify yourself in another room as well.
Yeah. What I would say is you need to, at minimum, keep Daniel Jones or Kenny. I wouldn't sell both. Daniel Jones or Kenny, one of those guys have to be your quarterback too, but I agree. Like, both are definitely movable.
And there's going to be an opportunity for you to sell Jordan Love if the trade does happen, or when the trade does happen and his value rises, right? So, and if somebody really likes a Jordan Love, maybe they have Jordan Love. Maybe you can sell the Christian Watson guy, Jordan Love, to have the stack, right? Like, whatever the case may be, that can be something you can look at. So just keep that in mind.
At wide receiver, I'm pretty happy, but again, I would love to know who has the 104 and if they need a quarterback, because I would love to move back to the 104 from the 103 and take JS in there. I would feel very good about moving back from the 103 to the 104, get JS in. Then this wide receiver room looks a little bit better. But even at the 108, if Charbonnet's not there, I mean, you can add a Johnston, a Jordan Addison, a Zay Flowers if he gets the right capital. And it's a non-tight end premium league, so I'm more than happy with the tight end room that you have. Keep Jake Ferguson. It's worth it. If they don't draft a tight end, you've got a very good option there.
I would agree.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of room for flexibility here with this team. There's a lot of flexible moves that you can make because of your quarterbacks. I don't personally feel like Claypool and Pickett for Dotson. That's one of the trades that he said is available. I think maybe he sent out, maybe. I don't think I want to do that personally.
Yeah, I said that as well. I think that's a bit too much for Dotson.
Yeah.
I mean,
really, take Claypool out of it because we don't care. So
that's what I was gonna say. Take Claypool out. Would you do Kenny Pickett for Dotson straight up? I think that I would say
yes. I would be willing to do that. I just want to use those quarterbacks to address running back. But yeah, I would.
108 for Christian Watson as well.
I love that.
Zach has done that trade, so I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah, big fan of that move. And then the trade that he was sent was Lawrence and Brown. I'm assuming AJ Brown for Watson, the 101 and 24 first. And I'm just keeping Watson, the 101 and 24 first, personally.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I would go as well.
But yeah, definitely some moves that you can make. Running back room is the weakest for sure. I'm holding Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. A couple moves that we would want to make personally. I like the Watson trade. I think that makes sense. I'm fine for a Kenny Pickett Dotson swap. I just want to try to address running back with that position, but you're going to add Bijan Robinson there, maybe Charbonnet if you don't move the 108. And outside of that, you're really good. But main things that Badake and I would both agree on: Daniel Jones and Kenny Pickett are your main trade pieces to fill out the rest of this team.
Yeah. I completely agree. Love it.
Okay.
Good team.
Next team here is from Ryan Janoskos.
Ryan Janoskos. Do we have sleeper ID? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay, let me input his.
Where's the sleeper ID? Okay, at the
bottom.
bottom.
The bottom.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, let's get his team up, and it looks like he has. Is that Tua? No, Sam Darnold as a quarterback.
Okay. 1 second.
Sam Darnold, where you at, brother? Who else does he have? He has Kenny Pickett as well, so maybe that makes it easier. Okay. Where can we go? Where are you? Okay, it's team 3, Buckeye Swag.
Okay, hold on. Let me grab the sleeper ID again.
Buckeye Swag.
While I'm doing that, can you read the context for us?
Yeah. It says this is a 12-team Superflex tight end premium start 9 Dynasty league heading into year 3. First year I finished 3rd, but I felt like I needed to do some retooling. Here are a few trades I made in the offseason. I traded Austin Eckler, Zay Jones, and a 23 third for Kendrick Bourne, a 24 first, which is the 112, 24 first, and a 22 fourth. Traded Devontae Adams and Michael Gallup.
23 first. It's the 112 this year.
Sorry, yes, 20. Yeah, so he got a 23 first and a 20.
Yeah. Great move.
Trade 2. Yeah, trade 2. Traded Devontae Adams for Michael Gallup, 24 first, which was Kenny Pickett. You drafted, and a 24 first, 22 first, sorry, which was Kenny Pickett, and a 24 first.
Yeah.
Sorry. During the season, traded Ramondre Stevenson for a 24 first and a 24 third. This year I finished 11th, but ended up with a 104 after the draft lottery. Thoughts on what to do with the 104 and the 112, considering moving Barkley? What would you suggest in terms of return package? Any suggestions on how to proceed with the team?
Okay. So.
Okay.
I wish we had a screenshot of like the team now. Do you know what I mean? Like as far as like all these picks, where they are.
Where they are now. Yeah, Ryan. Usually Ryan's in the chat. Ryan, if you're in the chat, maybe you can submit one. I feel like normally he is, but it's kind of tough to not know where this draft capital is. Yeah. But he's saying the only draft capital he does have is, let me just read back again, the 112 and the 104.
Okay.
So let's just assume he only has that. So he has the 104 and the 112 in the 23 first, and obviously he may have some other okay, like second round picks or something, but we don't really know where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which team is it again? Sorry, did you see?
Team 3, Buckeye Swag.
Okay. So Lamar, Kenny Pickett, that's enough for me not to need to address the position. He has the 104, is that right?
Yeah.
So you could look at, with that 104, you could look at, let's say, like a JSN, Anthony Richardson, if you needed to. At the running back position, we've got Saquon, Isaiah Pacheco, Algier, Jalen Warren, Zamir White, and then a lot of no names. That running back room is it's not bad, but you feel kind of uneasy about it, I would say.
For sure. And the first thing I would say, and I know we've been saying this, is like, maybe it's time to pivot from some of these guys. Can I get some second round draft capital for the Tyler Algier and Isaiah Pacheco to kind of pivot to the the Zach Evans, the Sean Tuckers, the
What is Pacheco worth right now? Let's see. What could you get for him? Like the 201 to the 203, is that right?
I think it's something along those lines.
Yeah, I would be making that move if I could.
So Ryan just put it in the chat of what he has.
Okay.
By the way, he has a 204 and the 308 as well.
There's
as a 404.
I just want to hone in on Pacheco because I've been pretty well versed in just like exactly what you could sell him for based off the community and what I've seen. The fact that he and David Montgomery are back to back in rankings to me is almost wild to think. If you can do that, I would do that in a heartbeat. Give me David Montgomery. The fact that Rachaad White there's only a 2 gap difference between them. Give me Rachaad White. If you can somehow turn him into Miles Sanders, give me Miles Sanders.
I would agree.
All those moves I would do, and I have no problem moving like a late third or something to get those types of moves done. I just want a more like a running back too that I feel more confident in. And he mentions he has the 112. Charbonnet, let's be honest, is not getting there anymore. So you would have to hope that one of these guys that we love ends up going late second, early third. Is it Kendre? Is it Zach Evans? Is it Sean Tucker? Is it Tajay Spears? Rashawn Johnson? Like, what name is it?
Agreed.
But Tyler Algier, I agree with you. I would be wanting to move him. To me, it's almost baffling how different they are in rankings.
Exactly.
It's baffling how much more valuable Pacheco is to the community. Almost 10 spots difference between these guys. So maybe you keep Algier.
And that's where I was going, because you get the capital, you get the capital, the draft capital, or the players to kind of, give you that even balance of like, okay, if Pacheco is not the guy, but at least I have Algier. But if Algier is not the guy, then I got the draft capital from Pacheco, right?
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I personally still believe that Pacheco this Chiefs team is gonna draft a running back personally, because he was a 7th round draft pick. And
I would say there's a chance the Chiefs draft a running back. I think there's a very realistic chance, and he's competing with someone. I think there's this fairyland dream where they're not going to bring back Jerick McKinnon, and he's going to become this like 15 plus touch a game, and I don't see that happening. And if I'm not mistaken, Clyde is still on this team.
Yeah.
So
he is.
Pacheco's definitely the better runner, but Clyde is by far the better pass catcher. Regardless, Pacheco's overvalued. I think you and I agree. I do think there's a chance they draft a running back, but overall, I'm in on Pacheco as a player. I'm out on the value of RB23.
Who has a higher chance of drafting a running back, the Chiefs or the Falcons?
Probably the Falcons, because of how much it means to their offense. Do you know what I mean? I mean,
but the team needs so much more, though. That's why I would argue.
They do, but at the same time, the Chiefs have needed a running back since we knew Clyde was shit, and they haven't addressed it. Like, they waited till the 7th round last year, and they brought Ronald Jones in,
Ronald Jones. Super Bowl winner, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
But I think you and I just like, there's so many good running backs in this year's class, and it's not to say that Pacheco isn't good. Pacheco is good, but he should not be ranked. He should not be ranked as RB23 in Dynasty. We have seen this number over and over and over and over and over and over again. I remember having the same conversations with people about James Robinson's Dynasty value, and it was like, no, he's different. He's the exception. You can go running back after running back, and people are like, no, but the team loves him. Yeah, but they invested nothing into him.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And just to put names to the picks, by the way, Isaiah Pacheco, you still going for the 201, the
201 to the 203.
That is a Zay Flowers. That is a Josh Downs. That is a Michael Mayer.
Yeah.
That is a Sean Tucker. That could be so many people that we would personally, and I'd say even the Dynasty community, would value significantly higher than Isaiah Pacheco in the long run.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Pacheco is not a bad player, but he's not the prospect that these other running backs are in this year's class. I think that's the difference. And like, respectfully, as someone who's a Chiefs, holy moly. Respectfully, as someone who is a Chiefs fan, who was Pacheco competing with? Honestly, we have all been on the same page that Clyde is an awful athlete for a long, long time. Ronald Jones was beat out by Leonard Fournette, who was like 300 pounds. Respectfully, there was not a lot of competition in this backfield. And you're looking at a Chiefs team who has a lot of picks this year. The Chiefs have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 picks. They have 10 picks in a very deep running back class. So it's very likely that that they could draft a running back. I'm not saying it will happen, but there is a chance. And if they saw Pacheco as this value in the 7th round, who are they going to draft in the 5th or the 4th round that's a value to them? And what does that mean for Pacheco? Yeah. That's
why I think the chances of the Chiefs drafting another running back earlier in the rounds and them seeing more value in them than Pacheco is significantly higher.
Yeah.
Than Tyler Algier, because it's just based off the team needs, you know. Falcons maybe want to draft a tight end, or an offensive lineman, a guard, you know, a defensive player, maybe a cornerback, whatever the case may be. I would say all those positions in the first 3 to 4 rounds, where then if they do draft another running back and he is a 4th round draft capital, then it's a little bit more of like, okay, this could be a 50-50 stream here for the Falcons.
See, that's how I feel about the Chiefs. I don't think if they draft a running back in the 4th round, Pacheco's irrelevant. I think if they draft Sean Tucker in the 4th round, for example, Pacheco still is probably the lead running back entering the season. But it doesn't mean that he's valued at RB23. That's still an overvalue.
I would agree there.
The opposite side of that, by the way, is that the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. So they don't need to get a superstar running back. The Falcons, you know, they have Desmond Ridder, who probably needs some help around him, and a running back is an important part to the game. So anyway, look, I would sell Pacheco for all those names that I mentioned. If I can somehow get Monty, if I can somehow get Miles, Rashad, I'm fine to use some of my capital to make it happen, but I would be making that pivot move. I don't dislike Pacheco. I dislike where he's valued right now according to the community. And it's funny because if you look on Twitter right now, there was like PFF is obviously clickbaiting people to comment on their Twitter posts for Dynasty rankings. But they put out a top 12 Dynasty rankings photo on Twitter. And one of the first comments was, "Where's Isaiah Pacheco?" And a lot of people liked that comment, to the point where I was like, are people actually considering Pacheco top 12? Now, I would say you and I would agree that people who have been in Dynasty for a little while and understand how this works would have him nowhere near the top 12. But what I'm saying is that there is definitely a window to sell this guy, and I think we're in it right now. You and I agree. We would sell him. Let's just get on the same page there.
And you have 3 weeks to do it until the NFL draft, until people say, well, they drafted a running back, and then you kind of effed. So
not really any other obvious sells in this running back room, to be honest. Like, no one really has value. I would hold on to Jaylen Warren.
He did say, thoughts, considering moving Barkley, what would you suggest in terms of returning the package?
I've said this before, but I prefer Jahmyr Gibbs over Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go.
That's the 106 right now, maybe later.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to say, because I just recently moved Gibbs ahead of Saquon one spot. They're actually back to back. So I'm happy to get the younger guy and wherever he's going to be landing, if that is a possibility. So for you
right now, Keep Trade Cut is saying Saquon's worth the 104. I don't see anyone doing that. But I think you and I is like, hey, if you can get the 104 to the 106, I'm going to pivot. Right?
But yes, I would say pivot. And that is, I would still do the 104, Saquon Barkley for the 104 and get a JSN if I really wanted to, and then not have the best running back room and hit on those guys in the second round. If you can.
I hear you.
I think that's more risky, clearly.
But let's just I'm saying, like, from you and I's perspective, you're not getting the 104 for Saquon.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So like you're probably in the 105, 106 range if we were to be honest.
Agreed.
So I'd be fine to do that. And then you add Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, or Jahmyr Gibbs and Rachaad White, or whatever that looks like, and then Algier's your RB3. I feel fine with that moving forward. Wide receiver room's great.
Yeah, Waddle, Moore, Pickett, Tony, Mooney. I like Mooney this year still, personally. So I think this is all really great.
The strength of your wide receiver room gives you depth or gives you options in this draft. And I think the good news is that the 112, the 204 are likely to be hot spots for running backs. And it's good that you don't have a huge need at wide receiver is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And at the 112, I would just say get best player available, or what we've also been saying, something that you can do as well is pivot. Can you get a Jahan Dotson? Can you trade that 112 for a random 24 first?
Yeah.
And because we would rather take the gamble on the 24 first, wherever that's going to be landing, the chances of that being higher than 112 is significantly higher, right? So why not try and take that chance with the 112?
Agreed.
And the 24 first. So
yeah, I agree. Keep
that in mind as well.
And I will say that at the 104, I'm not completely against going A-Rich there with Kenny Pickett as my QB2.
Okay.
By the time the draft,
I would agree.
By the time the draft settles and we know capital, it'll be easier to know exactly what to do at that pick. But Kenny Pickett doesn't scream to me, I feel really comfortable with this QB2,
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. Happy to take A-Rich, take the shot. And if A-Rich has the capital, has a day one start, and he's coming off to be this guy that we all expect him to, you sell Kenny Pickett in the middle of the season and get some capital for him.
Yeah.
If you potentially can.
And you've done a lot of retooling. You've done really well with this team to retool. Like the picks, the trades that you mentioned beforehand, I love all of them. You have 4 first-round picks in 2024. So your league is obviously active. You can make a lot of these moves. So yeah, I'm very okay to move on from Saquon for what we mentioned, from Pacheco for what we mentioned. And outside of that, if you are to move on from Saquon and Pacheco, you might as well sell DJ Moore in my mind. Just my personal opinion. You might as well sell DJ Moore if you're gonna kind of go all into the rebuild. I'm not saying you have to, but names that you could pivot to right now, I would take Watson over DJ Moore. I would take Judy over DJ Moore. I would take Burks over DJ Moore. So those are some names that you could look at if you're going to make these moves where Saquon's off the team. Kind of completely focusing on 2024 for when you're going to go all in for real. So, good team overall, though.
Yeah, good team overall. I think continue to do what you're doing, brother.
Yeah, you're doing very good. Okay, let me mark Ryan off on our sheet here. Make sure that where is he? Got you. Okay, cool. Next person we have here is Cory. Cory 96. And I think we have one more. We have quite a few teams here left, so let's try and not go quickly, but let's see what we can do here. Cory says 12-team Superflex start 10 heading into second year where I drafted a hybrid team but tanked halfway through last season when Brees went down. Traded my 24 picks in my startup, but I have the 102 this year drafting young and a 24 first, which is probably mid. Willing to trade any picks except for the 102 this year as I need a quarterback to build around in case trade doesn't pan out. Half my bench are guys, bench guys are fillers until the draft. Please let me know what you guys think. All right, Cory, let's have a look at this together.
So the Superflex with 3 Superflex league with 2 wide receivers and 3 flex spots. Okay. All right, so let's see what he's trying to do here.
Where is the team? Who does he have again?
His team is number 11.
Number 11. Okay.
That's not the best according to Keep Trade Cuts. Okay, so you have Deshaun Watson, Trey Lance, Carson Wentz.
Definitely see why you would want to draft Bryce Young.
Yeah, so you definitely draft that quarterback there at the 102, and you wait and see what Trey Lance is going to be, if that is going to be something. Running back, Brees Hall, Travis Etienne. I'm really happy there. The depth is what's scary here for me, especially with Brees Hall not starting the year. At least that's our expectation. That's my expectation. He might miss the first 4 games, first 6 games, whatever the case may be. Who's your RB RB1 or RB2 that's going to be starting here. Maybe that is somebody that you're going to be getting at the 202.
But Aki, can I be honest for a second? Just looking at this team, I'm leaning towards blowing it up. Just looking at each position, there's not enough depth here. And overall, like, so
there's a lot of filler names for
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers that we can start. And we feel good about 2 of those guys, maybe 3 if Pickens hits. Outside of Breece Hall and Travis Etienne, there's no one. And we don't have the capital to bring in a superstar running back. We have the 202, which could work in our favor. I'm just struggling to see, looking at other teams in this league, how we're going to compete. Like, is it really worth trying to compete this year at all? Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, this team 1 with Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Travis Kelce. You know, team 2 has Herbert and Lawrence, Akers, Chubb, Waddle, Kirk, Cooper, Hawkinson. I just don't see a scenario in which this team has the depth to compete when you take into account that you have to anticipate at least one injury to an important player. And you can't even fill like the flex spots right now after you use your draft capital.
I hear you.
If it's my team, I don't think that we can ignore the position that we're in. We need to blow this up.
I think I can definitely see that perspective. I think there's a good enough foundation there to not compete this year, but to be a team that can compete in 2024. That's what I would say. Because if you do draft the quarterback, if you do draft that quarterback, if you do get a running back at the 202, you have Deshaun Watson, Bryce or CJ, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne with Sean Tucker, Zach Evans, hypothetically. The wide receiver room, if George Pickens, Christian Watson, and all these guys take the next step, that's phenomenal.
So that's phenomenal, but you're starting Romeo Doubs and Hunter Renfrow regardless here.
Yeah, and that is the downfall, but that's where I would say I'm still okay to go at 2024, and then my main priority would potentially be to draft a wide receiver, right, wherever that is, because you're not going to be competing, right, which means you may have a top 5 pick, top 6 pick.
He doesn't have his own pick, actually. He doesn't have his own pick.
So he has Fridge, which is team 5.
He has ATGE. Whoever ATG3 is the 24 pick he has.
Okay, which is team...
Do we know who that is?
According to this, I mean, maybe that person changed their name, so we might not.
Yeah, they might have changed
who that is.
I'll be honest. This is Cory. I gotta be honest with you, man. If you're watching, this is tough. This is really tough.
I think he's just in that hybrid. You're right. He's not depth there. But
there's 0% chance that this team wins this year.
Agreed.
But you don't have your pick next year.
Right.
You've almost strapped yourself to having to compete this year, even though it's unrealistic to anticipate you even winning.
You can actually see he has the Hurts locker in 2024 first round pick, which is team 1.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
Because if you look at the team, you can click down and then look at draft picks. It tells you the name of the draft pick that he has.
That's a good point.
In 2024.
I wonder what we gave him for that pick.
I really wonder what that was as well. I mean, what did you give him? Was that a quarterback?
Is this tied in premium, by the way? Did it say?
This is Cory. No, 12-team Superflex, start 10. It's not tied in premium.
Okay.
It's tough.
This is really tough, Cory. I gotta be honest with you, man. I don't envy this position because, to me, if I had my own pick, I'm blowing it up completely. I know the running backs are good, but I'm not competing versus these other teams. But I don't have my pick.
So, are you trading away the Breece Hall, the Etienne type, blowing it up?
I think those running backs are probably where I'm starting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting with those running backs. I'm keeping my quarterback room because I'm not getting proper value for them right now anyway. But I'm starting with Breece Hall. I'm starting with Travis Etienne. And maybe you can get your 24 first pick back. Maybe. Like, can you use DK Metcalf to get that?
I think I think now looking at his team, he might have gotten Breece Hall, Travis Etienne for his 24 first. That's what I think.
See, that's the only move I'm making if I feel like I'm ready to compete, and I don't see this team competing.
Because if you think about it in the Dynasty startup, Breece Hall was going in the first, right? I mean, maybe he got both of them at the time. I don't know. Breece Hall was going around the first in 2022 in Dynasty startups. And then Travis Etienne with the injury was going around the 5th, 4th round-ish. I don't know. Maybe he did trade for one. Or I don't know. Might be a bit tough. Anyways, continue.
Okay. I'll be honest with you, Cory. You're kind of strapped here, my guy. You're kind of strapped. Because you can't. It makes no sense now for you to tank and blow it up because you don't have your own picks. Not only do you not have your 24 first, you don't have your 24 second either. Which is going to make it very, very difficult to justify tanking. Oh, this is tough. What do you do then? Like, what do you do with this team? There is a 0% chance that this team is going to win this year.
Yes, it is 0% chance. So I think you just have to continue to build. Maybe you trade like.
Honestly,
I just don't think I don't think the thing is the foundation is nice. You're not going to compete, and you don't have the draft capital in 2024 outside of your first round pick to build on where you need.
I hear you. Your foundation is nice, but check this out. You are flexing Romeo Doubs and Hunter Renfrow, and your starting tight end is Hayden Hurst.
So
that's not good. That is not a good place to be.
What if the team is like this though? Okay, this is fairy tale dreamland.
So you're saying this is not going to happen, basically.
This is best case scenario potentially. 102, you get Bryce to CJ. So he has Deshaun Watson, Bryce Young, CJ. 202, he can either go tight end, Michael Mayer if he gets out of the first. You can go another running back if somebody there falls or whoever has that draft capital. Then the tight end room is set, or the running back room depth is set. Now, with the 24 first, even though that's not his first, and according to this is Hurst Locker, he's going to have to get a wide receiver. What if Hurst Locker is not as good as it was last year? Maybe he's in the middle of the pack. Maybe that's a 106, 107. Still not too bad to get a top wide receiver in 2024. Once again, you still have one extra spot that you still need to build on. That's where you sell Trey Lance after next year. So if Trey Lance is the guy or not the guy, you can sell Trey Lance and then get another wide receiver. That's how I'm seeing this build. Is it sexy? Absolutely not. You're not going to compete now. You're not going to win now. You have the pieces that still aren't, with the next 2 years, aren't going to age terribly to where you're like, damn, should I just blow it up now? Because I think in 2 years he can compete with this team. Yeah, that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, this is tough, dude. To me, I'm just gonna be honest. If I had this team, my main goal would be getting my 24 first and 24 second back and blowing it up. Selling Breece, selling Travis, selling DK. Because I just need to be realistic. It's almost like it's how I feel about like the Colts trading for Lamar Jackson. Great. Look at how much you had to give up to finish 5th. Like, I just don't think that if we realistically look at this team compared to the rest of the league, I don't see how we actually win this year. And that's the whole point. Like, we want to win, but I don't see how you win. Even adding a rookie quarterback, that doesn't mean that Bryce Young's going to be good from day one, you know? So
that's not the
if you can
expectation. That's
have
what we want.
Deshaun and Bryce and Trey there in a super flex league, good. All their values could raise. Yeah. So my main goal would be getting my 24 picks back and then blowing it up.
Okay. So at the end of this, how many 24 firsts would you like? So you get your first back.
Yeah.
And then you hope and expect to get. So you get your first back from Breece Hall, and then you trade away Travis Etienne to get another first, and then you have 324 firsts.
I would say at minimum you'd be anticipating 424 firsts at minimum.
Okay. And you're not selling Deshaun. Would you try to sell Trey Lance? Because at the moment, according to community,
no reason to.
Okay.
He's not helping you win games.
Okay, that's fair. And other than that, that's it, right? Like, you're not gonna move DK. Do you move Christian Watt? Like, do you blow it up all the way to the point?
No, I don't need to move Watson or Pickens, but I'd move DK if I'd be comfortable doing that.
Okay.
DK, ET, and Hall, I would move. Again, only if I can get my 24 first back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we just have no room. We have no room to grow here. Even next year, dude. Even next year, we're gonna have the same issues. This is the problem. We're gonna have to choose between Hunter Renfrow and Romeo Doubs to flex next year. Even next year, and we're gonna have the worst pick probably of 24 in the first round. There's just no path for me. Thank you for the sub. There's just no path in which like we're happy here.
Yeah, I definitely hear you. So that's two different perspectives there, Cory. I see it where you have a good foundation and you can do stuff. You're not going to compete in the next 2 years. I would agree there.
So that's what I'm saying. What are we doing then? It's inevitable that Travis Etienne and Breece Hall will not be this valuable in 2 years. Inevitable.
Right.
No matter how much I love them as players. They will not have the same value in 2 years.
Yeah, I hear you. I guess like you're just going to be in a constant. You're not going to be in a constant rebuild. You just have to draft really good. That's the thing. You just got to draft good.
But you don't have draft picks
to project yourself up there. So yeah, you don't have the draft pick. So, you got some options there, Cory. You got some options.
Yeah.
It's a tough one for this team, man.
And honestly, if I had Cory's first round pick, I'm not giving it back.
Yeah, I wonder who has his pick. Cory 24 first. Out of curiosity, let's see. I wonder if this guy has it. Cory, okay. Smoking Jays has Cory's 24 first.
No.
Yeah, Justin Herbert, Trevor. Who did you trade? What did you trade away?
It's got to be Breece or Travis.
Yeah, it has to be one of those guys, right? That's what I was thinking. It has to be one of the running backs. He was probably going all in to. So he gave up a 24 first and a 24 second because he has. I'm not saying just for Breece or Travis, but maybe he had Nick Chubb and he traded away Nick Chubb for Breece Hall and the 24 first.
Yeah. Well, I hope this is helpful. You know the direction I would go, but again, you can't even go that direction if you can't get your picks back. Tough spot to be in. Really tough spot.
It's a tough one.
I hope that is helpful, though, Cory. I am sorry if that's not helpful. I really hope that it is. Ignition is our next team. Hey, guys, I see another team in here that we, from SX. We've clarified this a couple times, but we only do one team grade per person. Otherwise, I mean, let's be realistic. We couldn't do everyone and give you a good quality product here. So just wanted to let you guys know. But if you've already had a team grade done and you have questions, you have your fancy hotline if you want to ask us any questions there. The next team would be Ignition here. So let's go ahead and add his team. Could you tell us the context?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Yep.
I was just trying to find his team. Okay, Ignition 10 team, Superflex, non-tight end premium. This is my first Dynasty. My first Dynasty team decided to try win all year one and did. Now I'm trying to get rid of some aging assets while still maintaining and contending roster because I don't have any of my 24 first. Let me know what you think. Okay. Okay, so he doesn't have any of his
Which
24 first, and his team is he has Josh Allen on it. So his team's 4. Brees is back.
okay,
Okay, so
not many picks here.
not many picks whatsoever, but a really solid team though. Josh Allen, Daniel Jones.
He
So I
won
think
year
you
one,
kinda,
by the way, which you mentioned. That's important to
yeah.
say.
So I would say you keep Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. That makes sense. Running back, Brees, Najee, Pacheco. I mean, let's start there. Pacheco, a guy we're happy to sell. Can you
Yeah.
get a 23 second, 23rd, a 2023 second round pick, early second round pick to get some draft
Yeah,
capital in
only
this
only the
draft?
like the 201 to the 203. That's what you should be expecting. You shouldn't go lower than that. But yeah.
Jamal Williams, I'm happy to keep him. I'm also happy to trade him away.
You know, I was gonna say trade him away, but he's valued so poorly in Dynasty right now. Like he's RB38. He's like valued like a 3rd round pick, or
Yeah,
like
I
a
wonder, and I think
210.
I think that's just because of Alvin Kamara right now. There's still, if Alvin Kamara does not get suspended, that's where Jamal stays. That's where his value's at. Once he does get
Oh,
suspended, Jamal will rise, and that will be the opportunity to sell Jamal.
yeah.
So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, we would like to sell Jamal, but it's just not a good time to sell him. Just quickly on Pacheco, names that I would want to pivot to if I could would be Rashad White, Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, which we've talked about before. But you might have to hold outside of Pacheco for now, like Badake said.
Yeah. I think Elijah Mitchell be a good one last guy you could potentially squeeze something out, maybe with the
No.
whole.
No one's giving you value for Mitchell with CMC. You hold him in this scenario, in my mind, and hope for a CMC injury, as bad as that
CMC
sounds.
injury. What if you pivot to, because people there is a Elijah. I mean, I'm an Elijah Mitchell believer, but not as much like that. But there are people saying that he could get a 40% workload and kind of still give you that 10 point.
Let me ask you this: would you rather have like a mid-third or Elijah Mitchell? To me, it's pretty obviously Elijah Mitchell.
But what if, can you pivot though to like, can you pivot to like a Damian Harris? Can you pivot to like, to one of those guys? Like, would you rather have Damian Harris or Elijah Mitchell? You know, like what if we go that route? You know, what if we get somebody that does potentially have more value, could potentially have more value a little bit later?
Yeah.
And kind of.
Well, honestly, if we're pivoting, just give me James Conner if I'm competing this year, and I'll just ride James Conner for another year.
Yeah, that can work. You know, James Conner. I mean,
Which is funny because I don't want James Conner in almost any scenario except for this.
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to think of other names. Even like why, like.
But still, none of those players that we've just mentioned are more valuable than Elijah Mitchell if CMC is injured. And that's why, again, I hold true to like, okay, he's my RB5.
Holding him.
I'm going to keep him, you know?
No, that's fair. That's fair. Just thinking of different names. Like, do you take the chance with the McKinnons if they don't draft another one? Do you take a chance on a DJ Chark? Do you take a chance on
no way.
You
Not
know,
for
like
me.
One of those guys?
Not for me.
Not saying I would do it. Just wanting to question that scenario. And if you know, if there's a world out there, somebody is happy to do that.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I think Mitchell's like the ultimate. The value for me isn't in a place worth selling, because if CMC goes down, which we don't want to happen, but so many running backs have, you have a top 24 each week starter that you could sell. We saw Jeff Wilson go for like the 203 last year when he was the starter. You know what I mean? And Mitchell's much better than Jeff Wilson.
He was doing it right now.
Wide receivers. Kind of like it's very clearly win now. It's good that you have Treylon there, so you have a little bit of like youth. Cooper Kupp, what is his value right now? Let's talk about realistic pivot moves for Cooper Kupp, because I would say you probably need to keep him.
The thing is, sorry, continue, because I would say, continue, and I'll give my thought.
Just two names that I would throw out there. The first would be Tyreek Hill. If I could pivot to Tyreek, I would do that. Drake London, I would pivot. T. Higgins, Devonta Smith. But again, most people right now, or I think people were against us when we said to trade Cooper Kupp when he got that injury, but I think most people would be on the same page with us now where like they wouldn't want Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, and I would agree there. And the Cooper Kupp is still up there in value, I would say. Maybe not as much as it was last year, but I do believe I've seen multiple trades in our Discord, everywhere on Twitter, that people trading still him for like first, you know, from like the 108 downwards. Would we personally do that? I wouldn't. But if you can pull that off, I think that's great. And like what Zach said, can you pivot to some of these other guys?
Well, let's give some more names here, because honestly, I am super happy to pivot from Cooper Kupp to a lot of names below him if I get draft
100%.
capital. Like, if I can pivot to Jerry Jeudy and get good draft capital, I'm doing that. Like, could I get like an early second and Jeudy? Like, is that, I don't know. I think it depends on the person, because Cooper Kupp is a very there's not consensus on him, I would say, you know. I feel like people might consider that move, even though a trade calculator is telling you that's not possible. But
it's not. Yeah, I would agree there.
Like
Ayuk, so many people.
I would say Godwin, maybe even a good name.
I would, I can go down. If you just look at wide receiver in Dynasty rankings on Keep Trade Cut and look at from Cooper Kupp down, I'm willing to go all the way to me, Quentin Johnson.
Amari Cooper.
Okay, yeah. I didn't even go that far. I was just saying Quentin Johnson.
I'm saying like pivot plus picks is what I would say.
Exactly. Because he already has Amari, right? I think he does have Amari.
Yeah.
He does have Amari. And so, once again, can you pivot to a Godwin, get picks, a Dotson, a Terry, Ayuk, a Pickens? All these names, I'm happy to pivot, because not only do you get picks, but you get younger, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're trying to do in this scenario if you don't have the draft capital.
I think Calvin Ridley is actually like the perfect pivot. And you have to set a line for yourself. Like, if you can't move Cooper Kupp plus get an early second round pick for these names that we're talking about, keep Cooper Kupp. Hope that he reaches this, type of production that he had in the past. But if you can, these are the names that we would do it for. So yeah, hope that makes sense. But you don't have to move him. You're in a very good position. Those are just some names I would look at pivoting to. Deontay Johnson's definitely a hold for me. Same with Amari Cooper and Brandon Cooks, given your current like direction of your team. Like, okay, maybe you pivot from Amari to like a Zay Flowers, like it's mentioning here, but you're not. If you're competing, you're not going Amari to Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I would agree there. I wouldn't be doing any of that. So
yeah, let's say Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison get first round capital, then I'd be fine to move away from Amari for either of those guys.
Yeah, and Amari is a guy that I really love coming into the year. Undervalued right now. Deshaun didn't even play a full season with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, people are forgetting what he was. He was a top 10 wide receiver. That was with Jacoby Brissett. And he's currently valued as wide receiver 39, 28 years old.
Yeah.
So I am really happy to get an Amari Cooper and keep Amari Cooper on your team. So
and
I would say that. I would say one other thing. I don't know where he's valued at right now. Can we go Brandon Cooks? Should we move Brandon Cooks?
I don't think so.
Where's he valued? I just want to see, because I haven't even checked. I haven't even kept up with
he's
Cooks,
a hold in this build, in my opinion. He's wide receiver 56.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Nobody's valuing him properly in my mind.
No way. Because I was saying, can you go younger? Like, can you pivot to the younger guy?
This is what's funny is like I brought him as a buy in January. I'm pretty sure. Was it January or February? I'm not sure. But he was hovering around this wide receiver 60 all the way to like 67 rank. And I mean, look, when we were in season, he was worth more, because the guy, all he does is produce. So, I mean, even at 59, 56, he's undervalued, I would say.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
But you're good
Other
at
than
tight
that,
end, Kittle, McBride.
yeah.
I mean, you're kind of in a position where you can only retool. You don't blow this team up because it definitely can win right now. And I think the main pieces in summation that you and I said to retool around would be Pacheco, Williams midseason if Kamara gets suspended, Cooper, Cup if you if you get the right value. Outside of that, I think you rock with this team.
Yeah, you do rock with it. It's a good team overall. Keep doing your thing. But yeah, overall good team.
That was Ignition, right? I'm just marking them off.
That was
here.
Ignition. I think next one should be Fly.
Yeah, next one should be Fly. Just keep in mind, guys, that if we've already graded one of your teams, we can only promise you guys one team with your membership. But you still have the fancy hotline. So if you have questions about your teams, you still have the fancy hotline where you can reach out to us. Okay, Shimmy. Yeah. And Shimmy's been waiting a hot minute.
Shimmy has been waiting a hot minute. Let me see what team he has.
And just while we're loading up Shimmy's team, there's a couple people who are asking how they can get their team graded. To get your team graded, it is a bonus, basically perk for you if you sign up to Flock Fantasy with our code. Okay, so flockfantasy.com. If you sign up using our code LAND, LAND, and you choose the Mother Flocker tier, one of the bonuses of doing that is getting us to grade one of your teams here on the stream, giving out some advice. So you unlock a part of the Discord which is called roster submissions. That's where you submit your team, and you get kind of this experience here where we can go through your team, and you can actually join us live as well if you wanted to and say, oh, I like that move. Oh, this is what's going on. This person has this picks. Remember earlier we asked Ryan what picks he had and he clarified. But yeah, the Mother Flocker tier using our code LAND, everyone gets one of their teams graded from us. Okay, so Badake, Shimmy's team.
He doesn't have context. He just has 16.
He is in the chat, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So Fly, if you're in the chat, let us know. But if not, he just says 16 teams, super flex. And I guess we can kind of just go from there. His team is number 5.
Okay.
Remember, this is a 16-team league. It's a start 10 league, so this might be a little bit difficult.
16 super flex, you said, right?
Yeah, 16 super flex. So.
And I remember he made a move to get Jimmy G recently, and we're happy with him as the quarterback too in a 16-team league. I mean,
in a 16-team league, exactly.
Does anyone have like a ridiculous quarterback room? I wonder what they would have paid for. I mean,
number one has a really ridiculous quarterback.
I mean, look at his running backs: Jalen Warren, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is RB1 and 2.
Look at his draft capital.
He does have a lot of draft capital, yeah.
So he definitely has the opportunity to kind of make his team better.
Yeah. Okay. So starting at quarterback, Shimmy, let us know if there's any tight end premium in this format, if it's PPR, half PPR, if there's any weird, little rules out there about the team.
He also just made a trade, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but we can do this first.
No, let's look at the let's look at the team overall first. Quarterback's pretty good, pretty strong, I would say, in a 16-team league. Running backs, Josh Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Leonard Fournette, again in a 16-teamer. That's pretty good. We got Amon-Ra, Sutton, Juju, Al Lazard. Not the strongest room. Then we have Goddard and Charlie Kolar, who, I mean, let's just hope that this guy gets on the field, Charlie, but Goddard is a fantastic option.
Yeah.
What was the trade that he just got done?
So he traded away Juju Smith, Ramondre Stevenson, and a 25 first and a 205 for the 105 and Justin Ross.
Okay.
So keep in mind, he has the 105 now, the 111 still, if he hasn't traded that away. So the 105 and the 111 in the first, and the 206 and the 207.
Yeah.
So
I will just
105.
let's start by talking about this trade. Overall, I think this is an overpay, Badake, especially in a 16-team league. And the reason I say that is because it's really difficult to find quality starters.
So
I'm all aboard selling Ramondre Stevenson, but I think Ramondre and a first and a mid-second for the 105. I don't know. Where do you stand here? I think that's might have been an overpay.
I would agree in the 16-team league. What team is he? Okay, he's team 2.
The guy that he sold to?
The guy that he traded with. Yeah. So, and he receives Justin Ross.
Yeah.
I would have been happy. You know, the difference here is like I would have wished he would have received somebody in return outside of Justin Ross. Right? Like could that have been Deontay Johnson? I don't know. It's kind of difficult to value these guys in a 16-man league, but I would have been happy if it was Deontay or Darnell Mooney, a Palmer even. I would even stretch it to Tyler Boyd because Justin Ross is, in my mind, I would say you should drop him. I don't see.
No, I wouldn't say that, but
yeah, and that's where we see differently. In my mind, I don't see him being of value. I don't see him getting onto the fields. I don't see him taking the next step because he was undrafted. He, you know, the way his situation is with all the injury, I'm not loving it. So that's what I would say. I wish it was any of those guys from DJ Moore all the way down to Tyler Boyd on that other person's team that I would have been happier to acquire. Now I do agree it is an overpay. Ramondre Stevenson, Juju Smith, a 25 first and a 205 with Taekwondo. I mean, the whole trade does feel like a lot because of the depth now and how valuable Juju Smith will be in a 16-man league. Yeah. Right?
Let me open this trade up so we can all see it. But I just think personally, this is too much to pay in a format that values like just, you know, like general starters are more valuable in this format because there's so many teams that I would say you should pay up more for a guy like Ramondre Stevenson in this format, even though I'm pro selling him. You know, in a 16-team league, Ramondre Stevenson is a very, very quality starting running back in that format.
So this is tight end premium, by the way.
This is tight end premium, yeah. As much as I love JSN, this is an overpay in my mind. I'm not even worried about losing Tyquan Thornton or Juju Smith-Schuster. To me, the 3 picks that I'm really not, or the 3 things I'm not loving that I'm giving up is a 25 first, Ramondre Stevenson, and the 205. And I guess we do have to keep in mind that it is a 16-team league, so that 205 is actually like the 209. Is that right? That actually be like the 209. But yeah, to me, this is one of those moves where it's like, I want to get JSN, but no, I can't pay that price.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay. So just trying to keep up what he's saying. Tight end premium. Still have the 111. Trying to get JSN. That's my goal. I was trying to get Palmer, but he didn't want to.
Think about it from this perspective. There's no guarantee that your 25 first is even worth less than the 105. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a chance in 2025 that your first ends up being more valuable than this 105. Like, we don't know right now. It's too early to say. But then we also gave up a second and Ramondre Stevenson. Again, I'm not too bothered about Juju or Taekwon or the 304. But yeah, I'm just not loving this move because then we've already said that we want to take JSN at the 105, but now we don't have a starting running back outside of Josh Jacobs.
And I think I'm assuming the goal is to hopefully acquire a running back at the 111 here.
Yeah.
Whether that's a Charbonnet.
You and I agree Charbonnet's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, so but the thing is now you don't want to reach there. So if Zay Flowers is there with a better draft capital than a running back, or whatever the case may be, any of those wide receivers that do have a good draft capital, the expectation is that you take that best player available, especially now with the wide receiver room struggling just as much as the running back room.
Yeah.
You might have to do that.
He says, I agree it's an overpay. I'm risking trying to get JSN to make my wide receiver core better. I hear ya. I just think...
Now you don't have another running back to start.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, we've kind of made a problem by trying to fix a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah,
Look,
it's just tough.
There's definitely upside here. Like, you keep Lenny if Lenny signs to the Bills, Cowboys. Maybe
but at this point, I think it's safe to say that no one really cares about Leonard Fournette in the NFL.
No, and like you're not gonna probably get any capital there. So, but just to say, like, hey, you have to hope that he signs somewhere where he can help your team in a way to just get to 2024.
So now our wide receiver room is going to be Amon-Ra, Sutton, JSN, and Lazard. Which like it is a good room. How many wide receivers can we start in this format? Do we know? Let's see.
You can start 3 and 2 flex, so 5 wide receivers. You know. By the way, the reason why we say that is because we actually prefer to start wide receivers in the flex position. So the opportunity for the wide receivers to score more points and help your team win on a daily basis is significantly better when having a wide receiver in the flex spot. Just to keep that in mind for everyone out there.
So now we don't have our 25 first. We don't have our 24 first.
We don't have a 20. So you don't have another first for another until 2026, essentially.
Is that right?
From what I understand, yes.
Yeah, I don't like being like we limit our team there, I think, a little bit. Like I would have much rather have looked at selling Ramondre and keeping my 25 first. And you know, that's just tough, man. I think that might come back to bite us. We're making moves like we're all in, but we don't have an RB2. You know, that's what's tough about this. And like, let's stack you up against like you could definitely beat this team. I don't know what their draft capital is, but you could definitely beat them. Kyler Murray, Trey Lance, Russell Wilson. Like it's not unrealistic that you could beat AJ either. I guess like in summation, I'm not a fan of like going all in on a rookie that we haven't seen just yet. I'm a fan of trading up to get JSN, but I feel like we're going all in with that move. And now there's a lot riding on JSN being a superstar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a tough one. And I feel like we can't make any other moves now with that, you know, with trading away our, like, I don't want you to trade away that, what is it? The 111 and the 105. I don't want you to trade that away.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm happy for you to, I just want you to keep those trades and try to get the best player available to help your team. And if you do land a JSN and a Zach Charbonnet, then you lucked out, right? Like you got your running back and you got your wide receiver.
Maybe in a tight end premium Charbonnet falls. I don't think he does, man. I think Charbonnet is only going to rise. I don't think he falls. Like the way that we're hearing that the NFL is viewing this wide receiver room, that it's very possible that running backs like Charbonnet rise and, you know, a wide receiver like Addison or Johnston or, you know, whoever it is, Zay Flowers, like maybe they go, you know, down. But Django says, I feel like more realistic hope for the season is Mostert somehow gets a starting job again. Yeah. Okay. The other option here is we've talked about this before. Can you go get like a Miles Sanders for the 111 that he currently has? Is that possible to do?
I think I would say, is that possible to do if Charbonnet is not on the board?
Yeah, but Charbonnet
with the draft capital.
What percentage chance is Charbonnet on the board though at the 111? To me, it's like 12%.
I think it just depends on where. I think it really depends on where Zay and Jordan Addison go. and it is
Yeah.
tight end premium, so that also pumps up one other player. So
look at Cody's team here down in 12th. He's got Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams, Damian Harris, Jalen Waddle, Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. You telling me this guy isn't going to win this year? That's what's tough is
yeah, I think there's a chance there for him to actually get Sharby with the tight end premium, and if Zay and Jordan get the draft capital. If Zay and Jordan go in the first, I think a lot of people are really going to take him over Sharby, because Sharby's going to be a second round running back. That's our expectation, right? So
yeah,
the second round running back to the Falcons, to the Chargers, to whatever.
I will
team
be
that
shocked,
is.
specifically even in this format, where I would almost put running backs more valuable in this format. 16 teamer. I think a running back who has true workhorse potential is more valuable in this format than taking a shot on a wide receiver.
I think so. I'm looking at the teams at the bottom here and what they need. Let's just say this is the draft order. So 16 has the 101. You get Bijan, right? He has 2 firsts. He has the 101, and let's say he gets a Bryce Young. Team 15 only has 1 first. So and looking at his team, he either needs a running back, which is Jahmyr Gibbs, or a quarterback, which I think quarterback is
but he needs a running
significantly
back
more. But he also needs a running back. Team 14 also needs a quarterback and running back. You know, like a lot of teams need quarterbacks here.
And running back, yeah.
And running backs. So I think I think that makes even Anthony Richardson and Will Levis even more expensive. Hendon Hooker, what if he goes in the first, right? Teams might pivot that way.
Yeah.
Would we do that? No. But in a 16-man league, you might have to think of that.
No, I hear you. I don't think Charbonnet is there at the 111, personally.
Yeah.
And we don't have our 25 first anymore after this deal goes done. So our only first are this year. And
so he's saying
it's going to be really difficult to get a running back there as your RB2 that you can build around.
So Fly was like, or get Gibbs and Files at the 111 or downs. I feel like you made and trade all this capital. You feel like I would want to get JSN. You know,
yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to trade all that away for Gibbs, who once again the longevity is not that long as a wide receiver.
Here's what I'd say as well is like, don't force trades. Just like, there's time. Let trades brew. Give it time. If someone's forcing you to make a trade straight away, that's probably not a good trade partner, and that should probably indicate to you that you might not be getting the better end of the deal. You know what I mean? Just give it time. Let it brew. See how you feel. I mean, even us, we will reply to your guys' questions within 24 hours over on the hotline. That might be one that I think we could have helped you been like, hey, I get what you're trying to do, but we might be putting too much into this deal here. You know? Yeah. So, look, JSN, that's definitely going to help your wide receiver room. At the 111, you can draft whatever running back you prefer there, but I just imagine that in next year or like Badake, the running back room and the wide receiver room is good, but I don't think it's like to the point where like you and I are like, damn, this team is all in and you don't need capital in the future. You know, like, no, I think you still need capital in the future to build around. You're muted. I
am muted. Sorry.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. You know, I would definitely want to have the draft capital in the future. Especially once again in a 16-man league because of the depth. Now waiver wires are less intriguing. You know, you can't pick up the Josh Palmers, you can't pick up the Rondell Moores or the Greg Dortches because you know, and not saying that these guys are going to help your team, but these guys are more valuable in a 16-man league. And I would say the same thing with running backs. You know, you won't be able to get the Brian Robinson or the Chase Edmonds or these guys that can help you from the waiver wires like the Jeff Wilsons as well, when he kind of became a thing and people dropped him when he wasn't getting a job in San Francisco, and then he goes to Miami, and then he was a waiver wire pickup. The Pacheco's, it just makes it really difficult. But look, I think the best way to go here is I would keep your picks. Don't pivot anymore. You draft best player available at the 104 and the 111. If you think Robinson's going to be at the 104, then you take Bijan Robinson. That's what I say. Fly. You do that, and you go straight for it. And then you get best player available at the 111. But if Bijan Robinson falls you at the 114, and you can get any wide receiver at the 111, you are buzzing, because that is the best case scenario.
That would be incredible if you could do that.
But if you think that's how people are going to start pivoting, because all the first 4 guys need a quarterback, then maybe one of those guys are smart enough to trade back, and get draft capital.
And what I would say, by the way, with your like second and third round picks, and I've said this a lot this offseason, but I feel like, those second round picks are great. Like, take a shot on a running back. This is where we were seeing, the Brian Robinsons, Tyler Algiers, Dameon Pierces of the world going last year, kind of the 205 to the 301 ish. Take a shot on running backs. Maybe you'll find a diamond in the rough there.
Diamond in the hay.
Yeah, a diamond in the hay. And then, in a tight end premium format, I'm also not opposed in the third round. Like, I would actually use the 306, the 406, the 411, and the 304. If I can package all 4 of those picks and somehow get into like the mid second round again, I would do it. Or early second round, I would do it. I'm not saying it will happen, but explore that option, because then maybe you can also take a shot on like a Luke Musgrave, a Michael Mayer or Sam Laporta or whatever tight end is there. Like, pick your poison. Because if you hit on a tight end, and Luke Musgrave to me stands out as like the one that has like an immense ceiling. If Luke Musgrave hits and you get him in the second round in a tight end premium format, you kind of unlock this ability for you to make moves that you don't have right now, because you got to hit on these rookie picks to be able to make moves. So, Shimmy says, if I could reverse the trade, should I do it? I would, Badake. I don't know about you.
I would. Once again, like, the thing over your team right here. I understand you're not going to be able to have JS, but at least you have Ramondre Stevenson, you have Juju Smith. You're going to have guys that you're going to be able to start on your team in this roster. And you're still going to have your 25 first. You still have the 205. Like, there's going to be opportunity here. But I would say, how about instead of reversing it, how about we try and help him reconfigure the trade, right? Like, once again,
to me, I'm not including a first if I'm giving up Ramondre for the 105.
Yeah,
like,
that's how you need to
like I said, in a and well, think about it from that guy's perspective. Why would he want to do it then? I already have the deal.
Yeah, true.
There's no reason for me to change.
It's either he's willing to reverse it or just keep the deal. So
yeah, but
I would hear you
I mean, in a 16-team league, again, I think running backs have more value in that format than a 12-team league. It is very difficult to find a running back that like is getting consistent fantasy points in that type of format. So I would almost go out there and say like Ramondre is almost worth the 105. I'm not saying he is, but like his production would be unquestionably. If it wasn't for the draft capital, his production unquestionably would be worth the 105 in this format. So I would almost like Ramondre and the 205. Like, that feels like the most I would pay.
I'm happy to still throw in Tyquan Thornton personally.
Sure, you can throw in Tyquan.
Just to get it done.
But keep in mind, though, Tyquan is more valuable in this format than any format we've talked about.
Probably.
Like,
the thing is, like,
you could actually flex him maybe in this format.
Would you rather have Juju or Tyquan? I would say Juju. No? Like,
probably Juju, but yeah, both options suck.
Yeah, they do.
So anyway, I don't think that you're going to be able to reverse the trade. If you can, yes, I would definitely reverse it. I mean, we've said this before, like, trade calculators are not perfect. And they don't, they don't always show the full picture. But I haven't even added a 25 first into this thing yet. You know? Yeah, I would reverse it for sure in a heartbeat if I could.
Yeah.
Because I think like there's a difference between quality over quantity and then being in this format and maybe accidentally undervaluing running backs like Ramondre.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I'll be happy to reverse it and see what you could do there. Excuse me. I guess so. Other than that, wide receivers we spoke about, tight end we spoke about. You know,
you're good at tight end for sure, no tight end premium.
Yeah. If you can reverse to do it in a league like this, you get it. You got Jimmy G, which I'm happy with.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Don't be afraid to sell high on Jimmy G if he performs well in season either.
Yeah. Completely agree.
But yeah, I would reverse it if I could. Otherwise, you know, don't stress too much about it. I just really don't like giving up future firsts. I think it ends up strapping us, and the only way that we can do it is if we are really like unquestionably the best team in the league, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. But if you can get Bijan, like you mentioned, that's great. That's very good. Very, very good. If you have any last minute questions for us, Shimmy, before we move on to the next team, let us know. But I think there's only one more team for today.
Okay.
He says I reversed it. How did you do that? How did you end up reversing it?
Are you commissioner and you just say fuck this guy essentially? Sorry for my language, but
I wonder how you reversed it. We veto. Oh, okay. So okay, what was everyone kind of like, no, this is bad, or what? That kind of worked in your favor then.
So yeah, I mean, you keep the team that you have essentially. You have Ramondre, Josh Jacobs still. You have Juju Smith, Tyquan Thornton, and what you do have is the 111. Lost the 105, but I still have the 111, those second round picks. So now I would agree for what I would agree. I think somebody kind of mentioned in the chat earlier. Why don't you kind of package those seconds in the 111, see how far up you can move?
Yeah.
Right. See if you can get into the window of the 105, maybe to the 108, to the 109. Maybe not the 109. Maybe the 109 might not be that.
Yeah, you're not
intriguing.
Really. To me, if you're moving up from the 111, you need to get into the 107 at minimum.
Yeah. So I would say you can try doing that now. But once again, you have the hotline. Let us know. Let it simmer. Try not to let it.
Could you? Okay. Here's two ideas here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the 111. Is it possible to package the 205, the 206, the 207, and let's say like Cortland Sutton, and move up to like the 108, 107, and then draft best wide receiver available?
I would do that if we do it for Juju. I would rather keep.
I don't
Cortland
understand.
Sutton.
Okay.
Like, I would rather keep Cortland. I would rather sell Juju.
Okay.
Lazard, sure. Maybe. I would rather sell Tyquan. It might be easier to sell it with Cortland, probably.
And it should be said, like, I don't have a problem moving Ramondre Stevenson. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm actually like very interested in doing that. I just think we need better value if we do it. Like, if you can get Najee Harris, if you can pivot to Najee, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. If you can get like the 105, like we mentioned, straight up for Ramondre, I'm doing that a heart. I would send Ramondre in the 205. We agreed to reverse it, yeah. So if you wanted to go back and do a more realistic trade, Shimmy, to me, Ramondre in the 205 for the 105 is more than even. That is more than fair, Badake.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then if you know that you can get Jason at the 105, lock it in, make it happen. So I imagine what happened from what you said is other people in the league were like, what the hell is this? You know, and then that works in your favor because now it's reversed. So now you can go to the guy who you made the original deal with and be like, okay, I might have undervalued Ramondre there. How do you feel about this? Ramondre and the 205 for the 105. Maybe he agrees. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe you can bring that trade to the 104, whoever has the 104.
Agreed.
So I'm not opposed to keeping Ramondre, but you could still move him if the price is right. To me, I would pivot to Najee if I could. I would probably even sell Ramondre. Like, would you sell Ramondre if you could guarantee yourself Charbonnet?
Yeah, I would.
So that's like the 106 or 7?
106 or 7, yeah.
So that's another idea. And you could probably move Ramondre for the 106 or the 107 and get something else in return. So that's a deal that you could explore. But yeah, overall, I think you're in a good in a good space right now. I'm happy with what you have at quarterback. I'm happy with what you have at running back. But again, I'm not opposed to pivoting from Ramondre, like we mentioned. At wide receiver, I say take whoever's at the 111. If that's Addison, if that's Johnson, if that's Flowers. And then you're good at tight end. Use your second round picks to try and hit on tight ends because it's a premium format, to try and hit on running backs because, you know, that's probably where the sweet spot will be for some of these running backs.
Yeah, agreed. I would agree there.
That would be my final thoughts there. But best of luck. I'm glad that you were able to get the trade reversed.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. You got it back, and it's okay. Just let us know what trades you have and what you're thinking, and we can pivot through that on the fantasy hotline. So don't be
and just keep in mind, you know, we definitely will reply within 24 hours. So you don't hopefully no one's forcing you to make moves anyway. You know, you can let it simmer for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, last team we're looking at today. He says so 205, 207, 207 and Stevenson for the 108. Now that would be an overpay in my mind.
Yeah, again, that would be too much
for the 108.
Like we were just saying send the 205 and Stevenson for the 105.
Yeah, or Stevenson straight up for like the 106 or 107, you know. So that would be an overpay in our eyes, Shimmy, I would say.
Yeah.
All right, Raw, let's look at your team here. And Shimmy, again, feel free to ask questions as we go. We'd be happy to help. Sam says, how do we use the hotline again if we have it? So if you guys have the hotline, we would have set it up for you. Let me just see, Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, Sam should be.
Sam, are you? Did you transition over with us to Flock Fantasy? Because if you did, you should see an unlocked fantasy hotline setup tab in our Discord. Just send us a message in there, and we'll set it up for you. But yeah, this should be the last team that we look at tonight, and this is Raw.
So Raw said 10-man PPR, 1 quarterback. I got unlucky with injuries last season. Ended up getting the 101 Chris Godwin. I'm assuming Jeff Wilson for the 105 and the 205.
Nice. Okay. I like that.
Okay. So
I like those 2 moves.
So
who's the starting quarterback?
Starting quarterbacks he's number 2. Ask Etienne Season.
I love it. Just before we get into it, Sam says I just subscribed tonight to the Mother Flocker tier. Okay, awesome. So what you'll want to do, Sam, is in the new Discord, there's a join here tab, and if you put your Flock Fantasy username there and just tell them that you use the code LAND, within 24 hours the developers will assign you a new role, and then you'll have the fantasy hotline unlocked, as well as, you know, we'll look at one of your teams here on the live stream. So
yeah,
DM us if you have any questions.
Yeah, Sam, if you can DM us on your hotline and be like, hey, can you just send me that information, and we will see you right after this live stream.
Yeah.
As well, just so we don't forget. But yes, Raw team is team 2. He has Tua, Trey, Brock Purdy, Matthew Stafford. So he has a Tua and the Trey in the 49ers quarterback room, which we are okay with. We would hold there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say we wouldn't move that.
Very good running back room too.
Yeah, Brees, Etienne, J.K., Mitchell. That feels good. And he said he had the 101 as well, didn't he?
Wow. Okay.
Let me just go back to his team again.
So you're gonna add Bijan to this team. Is it a tight end premium?
He did not say if it was tight end premium.
So we have to assume it's not then.
Yeah, so he has Bijan, Brees, Etienne, J.K. Dobbins to this team. Remember, this is 1 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Wide receiver, Jamar, London, Myers, Juju, John. Okay, and he has the 105. So this could be a Quinton. This could be Jordan Addison. This could be a Zay Flowers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Depending on the
that's
draft
great because
capital.
you kind of need that third guy there to grow with.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of need that another guy, which is
Can
really
I throw out an
great.
idea here? By the way, it's a 10 team, right?
This is 10 team, yes.
So that 201 is actually the 111 in reality. I just want to throw out an idea. So if you are adding, and maybe you don't do it straight away. Well, okay, hold on. Let me just get on the same page here for 1 second. If you're adding Bijan to this running back room, which I think you should do, in a one quarterback, it's a no-brainer. Take Bijan Robinson, right? But now you have Bijan, Brees, Travis, JK. You got a lot of flexibility there. I almost feel like J.K. Dobbins is a piece I'd be willing to move there to improve my wide receiver room.
Yeah, I agree.
And where does the community currently rank J.K. Dobbins?
He is running back 16 currently.
Running back 16. So
that's around like the 107, 108, I think.
So I'm just thinking of what sort of thanks for the sub, Hayden. I'm just thinking of what sort of names we could look at exploring.
He's actually worth a 111, 112 actually, excuse me.
So let's talk about some names that we would be willing to move Dobbins for. You said the 111.
111.
But in a one quarterback league, that's different.
Oh yes, that is right. I'm so sorry. So probably was right. 107. Well, 108. So let's see.
I almost feel like people would be willing to pay like the 106 for him personally.
Currently, according to this is 106 is a lot more valuable.
See, I don't see this being. This doesn't feel accurate to me in one quarterback at all whatsoever.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, according to that, it doesn't add up there for keep trade cut. But
just names names that you could pivot to. Like if I could pivot from JK to again, like look, you got Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, who are right next to him. You're not getting those guys with the 109 or whatever it's saying JK's worth. Yeah, like the 109. There's no way those guys fall in a one quarterback format. Okay, they're saying the 110. So again, we say like it's a good reference point, it's a good tool, but it's not a finish point. There's no way J.K. Dobbins in a one quarterback league is worth the 110. He's worth more than that. So if I could pivot to get an Addison or a Johnston and I'm adding Bijan, I would do that personally. You could also add Zay Flowers there if he gets the right draft capital.
Agreed.
Other names at the bottom like Jahan Dotson, I would do that in a heartbeat. Treylon Burks, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, Christian Watson, Jerry Jeudy. I do that in a heartbeat. Some of those names might not be as realistic. But that's a move I would consider exploring before the NFL draft. I have this really weird feeling that the Ravens are going to draft a running back. I'm not saying that running back will overtake Dobbins' role, but I think all of us are like, oh, Gus Edwards is getting older. JK is going to be the guy this year. I don't know. I don't think so. This team runs the ball a lot. Someone's going to be sharing that backfield with him. So I think now is a good time to sell him before the NFL draft. All those names I would use. You're already locking in Bijan, Brees, Etienne. That's more than enough. And then you improve in your wide receiver room while also adding a wide receiver at the 105. If that's Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers. And then the 201 is technically your 111. So whoever's available there, it's probably running back that you go at the two in this format. One quarterback is probably a running back there, but yeah, I think you're in a good spot. Yeah, there's no tight end premium here, right?
No tight end premium, and it's kickers and defense as well. So 2 wide receivers, 2 flex spots. He has Dalton Schultz as his tight end. I would say don't be scared to take Michael Mayer at the 201 as well.
Agreed.
If the downs, these guys, Zay Flowers.
I think the 201 and the 205 is a great spot for tight end.
Yeah, if
Kincaid, put Kincaid in there as well.
Yeah, if some of those wide receivers or running back don't get the draft capital, then maybe you should be targeting that tight end at the 201, 205.
Sure, I agree.
And I think quarterbacks, you're fine. I don't think you should be considering like a Richardson if you want that high upside or anything, or CJ or Bryce there.
There's more than enough here.
I'm happy to skip over the quarterback in the second round of your rookie draft.
Yeah.
So other than that,
between Trey and Purdy, you have a solid starter, and with Tua, you have someone who is drastically undervalued. So
Exactly.
you got more than enough there. Yeah, I think for me, the main piece I'm trying to move is J.K. Dobbins, and everything else we said with those draft picks. I think this is a good team, good capital, good direction.
Yeah, you see, he was trying to get a second rounders with that pick. So
A tight end, right?
yeah, with those
Yeah,
guys.
I'm happy with this squad. Raw, I see you're here with us. So any last minute questions about this team, let us know. And then Sam, I'm actually gonna message you on your old hotline because you actually have an old hotline set up. I just said hi. So in that hotline, can you send us the information that you signed up with over on Flock Fantasy?
Yeah, just take a screenshot of the accounts page
On Flock Fantasy, yeah.
on Block Fantasy and just send that to there, and then we can get you set up on our side. Have you in the system.
But I think that's it.
That message, by the way. Yeah, that is it. A lot of teams.
Shimmy says, appreciate y'all time and energy and help. Probably saved my time canceling that trade. I'm glad that you were able to do that. That really worries me long term. Again, the only time I want to go all in on a trade is if my team is like clearly above the rest, you know. But anyway, I think that's it. Again, if you guys want to have this option where we can look at your teams on the stream, flockfantasy.com. You can use our promo code LAND, LAND, when signing up. If you hit this create account button, this is where you put the promo code LAND, create an account, and then choose the Mother Flocker tier. You'll unlock the fantasy hotline. You'll unlock one team breakdown from us. You'll unlock being on the Dynasty Trade Show, and then everything else that's on the site: rankings, articles, bonus content, etc. So, by the way, we do have our round 3 of the 1 quarterback mock from last week out there as well. But I think that's it for today, Badake.
Yeah, let us know any other questions, last minute questions. Oh, Raw said in the hotline there was a trader screenshot for the 101, for the 102 and the 103. Yeah. Let me just try and look it up here.
Okay, you get the 102 and the 103.
Which I'm okay with, because that means you get JSN and Gibbs. So he's sending Matthew Stafford, J.K. Dobbins, Juju Smith.
I don't see the hotline. Where I must be missing it.
Yeah, I'm going to say hello. So go to that one.
Okay.
And then he gives away the 101, the 205, Zach Ertz, Juju Smith, J.K. Dobbins, Matthew Stafford. So this is a trade
no. This is too much.
Has proposed.
I guess it's really like the 101 and Dobbins.
Well, I think it's a good trade.
You think so?
Because Matthew Stafford, you're never going to start.
But in a 1 quarterback format, Bijan's value can't be underestimated, especially in a 10-teamer.
Maybe, but I'm also happy to get Gibbs and JSN.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what you're saying with Bijan, but not only does he give up 205, but he goes up 2 more spots to the 203, and he gets a 24 first. There's no way I'm starting Juju over the team that he has right now, which is Jamar Chase, Drake London, and JSN that he's gonna have, right? The 203, that could be the Josh Downs, that can be this whoever that's going to be, and another tight end, and the 24 first. I mean, I'm personally happy to do that. I don't know about you, but
I just don't know if we're undervaluing Bijan in this format, though.
Would you?
You can only it's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, and it's a 10-team. Bijan's going to be that difference maker for one of these guys in a 10-team. I'm not saying that Gibbs and JSN won't, but Bijan undoubtedly will.
Right.
And
I'm happy to get the 2-for-1 deal. I guess that's where I'm seeing it, because now I'm not starting anyone else. Like, not only do I get another running back in Gibbs, but I also get a wide receiver now that I was not excited to start, that I am extremely excited to start over Juju Smith.
I gotta keep Bijan here, dude. I gotta keep
That's
Bijan.
how I'm seeing it.
I gotta keep Bijan. I would rather make the moves that I mentioned for Dobbins.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's also a good way to go overall. The Dobbins trade that Zach was talking about earlier.
But this 24 first is from Clarksville Station. Where's Clarksville Station here?
Clarksville Station is Team 5 right now.
So he's got Josh Allen, Cam Akers, Aaron Jones, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman. Yeah. And he's also got 1, 2, 3 first and 23. So that team's probably going to look better.
Which it probably is going to look better, but yeah, I'm happy with both options personally. I'm happy with the 2-for-1 for Bijan with Gibbs and JSN, because I will be really happy to start to add both of those guys on
I
my
would
team.
agree in Superflex, because like the value is elsewhere in Superflex. But I just feel like in a one quarterback, potentially the RB1, we already have him ranked that way. And he's not even stepped onto the field. I don't know. I think that's difficult to give up.
That's fair.
Yeah. I got to stick with Bijan there. I mean, if you can somehow take out the 203 and 205 swap and take out J.K. Dobbins, then I would do that deal that you mentioned. But yeah, I think like for me, I'm trying to separate my mind from like a super flex deal and a one quarterback deal. Because yeah, I'm really happy with Jahmyr Gibbs and JSN, but Bijan Robinson to me is like that true difference maker in a one quarterback format that you pay up for. And it's not like his team is bad where like you need to make this move and capitalize on that value. Like you already have so many good players. I just think like in week 6, if Bijan Robinson's like the RB1 in fantasy football at that time, we might be really upset at ourselves for moving him, you know? Yeah. And I think it's risky as well before the draft, because what if Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't go in the early second? What if Jahmyr Gibbs goes to a bad situation? And then you're like, damn, well, I got JSN, but I'm kind of kicking myself here for making this move.
Yeah. I guess it's just so hard to see Gibbs not go in the second. If he does fall in the third, that would just be something that the whole community wasn't expecting.
I'm not. I didn't say he would fall into the third. I said late third or late second.
Late second. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, look, it all depends.
Like if Jahmyr Gibbs goes late second, let's say he goes to the Jaguars. That sucks. Is it going to happen? Probably not. But we've seen stupid things happen all the time.
He goes late second to Dallas.
What if he goes to the Lions in the late second? What if he goes to Seattle in the late second? You know, I mean, we think of ideal scenarios, but no one wanted Javonte Williams going to the Broncos. No one wanted that.
No, I hear you. I'm just happy with both. Happy with both scenarios. So I guess it's up to Raw.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take the chance on Gibbs and JSN getting the 2-for-1, or just holding on to Bijan and doing that. So I'm really happy with both scenarios there, Raw. So
yeah, I think it's just tough. I think we gotta maybe overvalue Bijan, and it's not only a one quarterback, it's also a 10-team start 8. It's not 12, it's 10. It's not Superflex, it's one quarterback. It's not start 10, it's start 8. I don't know.
Well, and I think that's why I find it really valuable, because I can solidify that wide receiver. So I have Jamar Chase.
You don't need to, though. I mean, you can already start Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Jamar Chase, Drake London.
Yeah, but now I don't have a flex.
You do. I just told you your flexes.
Which was
your flexes are Travis Etienne and J.K. Dobbins. Unless you want to move J.K. Dobbins for Jahan Dotson or one of those wide receivers that we mentioned.
Well, so
it's only start 8 here.
Yeah, so Bijan. So I mean, it's not Bijan.
If you make
Bijan,
that move
Brees,
for Gibbs, then
Travis,
Gibbs or JSN are sitting on your bench.
Smart. Okay, hold on. Wait, what? So let's start from the top. Bijan Robinson, RB1.
Mm-hmm.
Brees Hall, RB2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Travis Etienne is in your flex spot, and or J.K. Dobbins in your flex spot.
Both can be flexed. Yeah.
Right. And then the wide receiver we have is Jamar Chase and Drake London.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have JSN in my flex spot than J.K. Dobbins, which I think we will both agree. But yes, I would understand how Bijan is significantly better and it can bring the value than whoever else, whether that's Brees, Travis, J.K. in the flex spot. I don't know. I just think the 2-for-1 is a good deal in my eyes. But I see your perspective. Like, Bijan is up there. You know, what if Bijan goes to a team that we don't like? But that's a higher chance of not happening as well. So
I'll be honest though, no one's beating Team 1. I mean, good luck to you, Raw, but no one's beating this team.
I haven't even checked.
Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Deshaun Watson, Ken Walker, Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Hollywood Brown, Calvin Ridley, Rashad Bateman, Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram. Raw. That is going to be a tough team to beat. And again, I think you need an absolute freaking superstar and Bijan Robinson in the start 8 to compete with something like that. But
yeah, he has a 105 as well.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I don't want more picks. I want Bijan Robinson.
I hear you. Let me just double check. No, but you said the 105. Oh no, you keep the 105. I don't know, man. I don't know. I get it. But
I'd much rather have Bijan Robinson starting than, you know, JSN and Gibbs. And one of those guys I have to bench. I don't know.
I mean, I definitely.
It's a tough one.
I definitely see it. So
I think that's it for today.
Yeah, that is it for today. Huge love, guys. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Stacked, actually. Yeah, it is stacked.
But yeah, good problems to have for sure.
Yeah. 100%.
All right, guys. Again, if anyone wants their team graded, you know by now how to do it. Got to be a mother flocker using our code LAND on the new site. This was fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We got a whole 4 straight days of mock drafts from tomorrow onwards. So see you then, and enjoy the rest of your night.